You're listening to the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast, hosted by Connor Whale.
We're live.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Easy.
Jeremy, welcome.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah. Early morning for you?
Yeah, not even, but yeah. I'm just acting currently like it's after I knocked down the whole set.
Yeah, love it. Do you want a cocktail?
Yes, please.
We got Banoffee Pie Old Fashioned, so rum whiskey based. We
Yep.
got a peach martini, gin and vodka, kind of like a Vesper base. And then strawberries and cream milk punch.
I'll probably go peach martini, please.
Perfect, bro. This is my favourite at the moment. I've been jamming these hard.
Nice. Cheers, bro.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Cheers. Pretty bang it out.
Good way to start.
That's a good
the
way
day.
to start the day. Yeah. What time is it now? It's like
I think it's like 10:30.
Yeah. No.
Good shit. But yeah, welcome, bro. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I've been trying to get you on for a while now. We finally got
mate,
it.
yeah. Sorry, I'm like pretty elusive sometimes, so especially during the weekends, if you ask anyone at work.
Yeah. I'm always like, "Are you going to be free this weekend?" Oh, not this weekend, but like 2 weekends from now. I text you that weekend. You're like, "Oh fuck, I've already booked something else."
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, bro. No stress. But yeah, so I guess we'll start right from back at the start.
Yeah.
You know, we're both hospo based. You're at Bedford at the moment.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. And so where did hospo start for you?
So I was at university when Hospo initially started for me.
Yeah.
I was at Manchester Metropolitan University, needed a job to fund the lifestyle of university, and got a job at like an American diner called Henry J. Bean's. And,
Okay.
that was like my first experience of working on the bar. And I can remember like all of the terrible drinks that I like. That I first initially like learned when I was in, when I started working there. And it was quite a interesting start to hospitality. It got me super into bartending though. Like I really loved it. Like I was putting ice in Cosmopolitans and stuff like that. But it was like, mate, honestly, it was a complete guest job. Most of the time. But yeah, I can understand the frustrations of like my initial bar manager having like then gone on to manage bars myself. So yeah.
Ice in the Cosmo, were you serving it short or tall?
In a coupe, bro.
Oh,
I just like, we'd make it and then we were like, doesn't look full enough. Bosh. Yeah, so it was pretty...
Is it that's the English way of fixing it?
Yeah.
Put some ice in it.
I was like, I can remember asking the other people around me and they were just like, I also have no idea, so yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the people that like paid money for that. And then, had to consume it.
Oh, fuck. Well, at least you didn't short them on booze.
Yeah, mate. And also, they seemed to have a good time. I wasn't trying to rip them off, but yeah. So it was good. It was an interesting start to my career.
Yeah. What were you studying at uni?
I was studying business.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's marketing management actually.
Yeah.
And so it's marketing management and business. But that was a bit of a waste of time, I would say. But it was like, university I thought was a great life experience for me.
Yeah.
Just not the best. My grades were great, but
Yeah.
I got a degree. So
But I guess
good.
like studying business is serving you quite well. Being in like a bar manager role and things like that, like you get to just understand some of the basics.
I would say as well, like in venue management more so, that you like CP&Ls and stuff like that. And it's not like a completely alien concept. So yeah, it kind of helps in that. And then I feel like marketing, I think it helps, but then I'm just like, I find a lot of marketing is pretty much common sense.
Yeah.
I would have thought, yeah.
But marketing, like you say, it is common sense. It just takes time.
Yeah. And,
That's one of the annoying
dedication and, time more so than anything else, I would say. But,
It's like juicing limes, it's a necessity and it's really easy to do. It just takes a shitload of fucking time.
Well, yeah, and also you got people who are like, I'll just buy a bottle of lime juice because then I don't have to juice it. And you're like, but if you take the time to do this and then dedication and so on and so forth, then the product will be better. But, as I say, like I can remember when we first were doing social media in bars, like running bars over here, and people were asking me to do social media for them, and I'm like, I have no idea how to even begin to grasp this. So like, marketing's not my favorite thing.
No.
But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No.
I'm waffling away now.
Bro, you can tangent as much as you want.
Yeah.
Like we got like 2 hours to fill, so go hard. Take us on the roller coaster.
Yeah, mate, hard.
But yeah, so studying business, making some horrible cocktails.
Yeah.
At your first bar, and that sort of planted the seed.
Making questionable life choices as well. Yeah, but so I'd done that. I worked there. I worked at a place called Taps as well, which was like we had 20-something tables, and they all had beer taps in them. So
on the table,
bro.
That's fucking cool.
It was absolutely sick. It was like this iPod operated system where you just paid by like 0.1 of a pint.
Okay.
But also like when you finish work, super dangerous because there's beer taps.
You just sit at the table. You don't even have to get up.
You don't even have to like worry about what table you're sitting at either. You just like plonk yourself down. And then we had like some Belgian beers on tap as well. So that was
yeah. How many taps would a table have?
So there was some of them that had 4, but most of them have 2.
Oh yeah.
It was like the line clean was pretty hectic.
Yeah.
It would take like 4
I
or
can
5
imagine.
hours. Like, I think it was so 2 taps, and there was like 22 or 23 tables. So
Yeah.
like
And you just have like a lager and an ale.
Oh, we had all sorts, bro.
All sorts. Was every table different?
Most of them were different, yeah. So I think we had like 10 beers, and then they would be different on all.
Okay.
So there'd be like 4 lines that would go up to various tables.
Okay.
It was cool. It was like Belgian beers, so on and so forth. But again, super dangerous because you just sit there and smash a heap of beers after work.
Yeah.
But,
Good way to keep customer spend per head up.
Yeah, and good way to keep your like uni drinking costs down.
Yeah.
So that was, and then from there I moved back up to Edinburgh, which is where I'd like grown up initially with my parents, and that was where I actually fully got into bartending, working at a place called Tiger Lily. So
Okay, I've heard the name Tiger Lily.
yeah, mate. Like if you've worked in Edinburgh, you've been through like one of the venues that those guys own. So that was like where I actually learned how to make cocktails and not put ice in Cosmos and so on and so forth. So like,
Or breadcrumb and mojitos.
yeah, mate. I did not know that story until you told it to me just before, which is quite hilarious.
Bro, it was just a fucking rookie move. It was my first ever shift on the bar too. I was only there to be a glassy. And then I got like, bartender's called in sick, can you help out? All you're going to have to do is make Jack and Coke. Sweet as. I can handle that. First order, 8 mojitos. Fuck!
Oh, and you made 8 of them?
Made it 8 of them. Yeah, I poured out a whole bottle of Bacardi in this breadcrumb mess.
It's like congealing at the bottom of the glass. That's so bad.
Bro, it was just fucking horrific and embarrassing for so long, and it was only when I actually got better.
Did people ask you about it? Were they like, this doesn't taste right?
But no, the customer noticed it, and she was just like, that's not right. And I had been taught how to make a mojito the day before, so that's why I kind of knew what I was doing. I just didn't read the bag of what I was picking up to put in it.
So I've had a similar one like that.
Okay.
You know Paul, the photographer?
Yeah.
Who you had on the podcast a while ago. He came into Mea Culpa one day when I was there, and he... I'd made a strawberry syrup, and I was like super, like there were fresh strawberries. It was super tasty when I tasted the juice. And then I mixed it with some sugar, made the syrup, put it to one side. Paul came in. I was like, you should taste this. This is delicious. He like takes a bar spoon of it, takes it in his mouth, and is like, what is that? And then I like taste it, and I was like, oh no, I use citric acid.
Oh no, shit.
Sugar, bro. So it's like a kilo of citric acid. Oh, mate.
What a waste of some strawberries.
What a waste of everything, mate. Like, yeah. I was like, Paul, I can see Paul was like trying to be like...
polite.
Yeah. It's like... Yeah, I stitched him up big time there, right? Like, devastating. So I know the feeling when you're like... That's not the reaction I expected you to have when you like tasted my drink.
No shit. Yeah, no, the customer was like, I don't think that's right. And I kind of, at that time, had the attitude, I'm like, what do you know? I
know you don't put breadcrumbs in the drink. Like,
I just felt like a fucking idiot. And I like kept that as an embarrassing secret for so long until I had like learned enough about cocktails, and I sat down with some friends, and I think I first told the story on Sarah's podcast, Overproof.
Yeah.
And she was like, what's like one of the, dumbest things you've done in the bar? And that was the first thing that came to mind. And I was like, I'm confident enough with myself that I don't have a problem telling this story.
Yeah. I'm far enough in my career that was like long enough ago.
Yeah, exactly. We're going back like, 15 years or something. Like it was fucking, it was just atrocious. But that was sort of where I started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were in Edinburgh working at Tiger Lily.
Tiger Lily. That was the origin story.
Yeah. So how did that sort of spark the cocktail side of things?
I worked with some great people. I actually worked with a guy who worked in New Zealand called Chris Deacon, who's like a guy that worked in Queenstown for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he was the bar manager of Tiger Lily, and he was just like the coolest guy. Yeah. And had the greatest chat, was super nice, was always like super lovely when you dealt with him, but you watch him bartend and he was like unbelievable. Just like one of the good bartenders. So yeah, when you just see people that are better than everyone else. Yeah, he was like that. There was another guy that worked there called Kev Griffin as well, who's like now some rep in Australia, but he had got to the finals of World Class, so that sort of like piqued the interest of seeing people make cool cocktails and like things that are completely different. So after chatting to him, I went to watch a couple of cocktail comps, and then like you see this whole other world. Yeah,
just sort of like fired up.
Yeah,
the passion and the intrigue.
It was like, do you know what's super interesting as well was when I was in Edinburgh and I was like watching all these cocktail competitions. It was when there was a guy called Ian Griffiths who like opened White Lion in London. Yep. He was running Bramble at the time.
Okay,
and so you'd see him in these cocktail comps and he'd be doing all these like mad drinks that you were like, I don't really get it, but it's cool. And then he opened White Lion and like that was the style of drink. And then it essentially like defined quite a lot of the bartending in London for like quite a lot of years afterwards. Yeah. So it was really interesting seeing that and knowing that was like the beginning point of like stuff like that. That to me was a super interesting. Yeah. And Bramble was like my absolute favorite bar. So
yeah, so quite inspiring for you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I was just sit at the bar watching bartenders make cool drinks and being it's a bit sad when I like look back at it, but at the time it felt cool.
Well, I guess like for us watching bartenders that, like you say, you can just see someone and know they're a level ahead of everyone else. Like there's levels to the game, so to speak. Man. And watching bartenders like that for us is probably like, movie buffs watching a really good movie, seeing some really good acting. They just want to sit there for an hour and a half and watch it.
And just watch it and be like, sick.
Just appreciate it,
100%, man. Yeah, there's been quite a few people I've like, having worked over the years now, that I've worked with like that. And yeah, it's good. It's aspirational, I think, as well. Because you're always trying to be better, right? So if you see how good they are, you're there.
Yeah.
You should be able to, like, in theory, get to that point. So,
for sure. So did that inspire you to do like competitions and stuff?
Not initially. I initially started doing competitions because I wanted to travel around New Zealand. And the cheapest way of doing that
was winning shit.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Or getting to the finals at least. So yeah, I went to, I remember the first time I went to Queenstown. I had never even heard of Queenstown.
Yeah.
I didn't even Google it before I went, right? So bro, I'm on the plane coming in. I'm like, what is this place, mate? Like, as you're going through like the mountains and then you get to this like amazing lake. I was like, I should have really looked into this. But I just got caught up in it because I was doing it with Darren at Mea Culpa and we were doing the 42 below things. Didn't really expect to get through. Did, but didn't think much of it. And then we went there and it was like the craziest experience. Yeah. So that was what really got me into cocktail competitions. But yeah, I think the seed had been planted by people. I only started bartending properly. So through uni up to the age of like 22, 23, I wasn't really doing hospitality. So it's from the age of like 23 that I really got into it. Mm-hmm. And so I think I was quite green initially when I was watching all these comps, but having, as I say, a couple of years later, I obviously felt confident enough. Yeah. And then, as I say, I got to see quite a few places in New Zealand because it's all free because we were making drinks. Yeah. I remember the first time I went to Queenstown, I had to pay for stuff, and I was like, "What? It's so expensive here.
It's crazy expensive,
it's so crazy, man. Like
crazy expensive." We went down there for my brother's stag do. We had like 3-4 days down there doing random shit, and you'd go to a bar and you'd get like, what were they doing? Like jelly shots and like fucking vodka gummy bears and things like this, and it's like $14 a shot, and you're like, what the fuck?
I know what's in this as well. Like, that's the worst. The worst bit about being in a hospital as well, though, right? When you're getting ripped off and you are, and you're just like beep.
And especially, and I always find it's in like the nightclub setting.
Yeah.
Because people in that setting kind of, I guess it caters to a younger crowd that doesn't really know, and maybe a drunker crowd.
100%.
And
also, we're not the target audience. We're not the target audience, bro. Like, I just happened to be there one time. I'm not going back anytime soon. So like, I can understand why they. But yeah, Queenstown is a spenny place.
Yeah. The cash
cool
is down there. I guess that's why the billionaires moved there.
Hard, yeah.
Yeah, they're all there buying land, building fucking bunkers for
how the other half live though, man. Like, you go to some of these places and you're like, I wish I had money.
Hard out.
Just keep plugging away.
Yeah, my brother, he used to be a chef, and he did some work for some people down in Queenstown, and they let him stay at their holiday home that they had down there. And he was telling me, like, even the crazy little things that they have, like underfloor heating in their driveway.
Yeah.
So when it snows, they don't have to move snow.
But why do you need, it's
ridiculous.
Things that I don't think about, eh? Or like the voice activated lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember going to a house in Queenstown once that was someone's, I won't name them, but we went there and I thought we were at like the lake house of like, the boat club or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like this massive, enormous thing with all these like bikes and skis and everything. And no, it just turned out to be like the bottom floor of the house. I was like, mate, I was there for a day, so I was like, I'll be here, bro. I'll
make the most of it.
I'll sit on the yacht. I'll drink the beers. So yeah.
Oh, good shit. So when did you come to New Zealand?
So I came to New Zealand when I was 27. So I'd moved, I had lived in Edinburgh, and then got bartending in Tiger Lily. Had moved from Edinburgh to Melbourne. Lived in Melbourne for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Loved doing that. That was where I really got into bartending because I worked with some amazing people.
Melbourne's fun.
Melbourne's amazing. And like the food and drink scene in Melbourne is like second to none, really. I love Sydney, but I do think
Melbourne's better.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. You were in Melbourne, weren't you?
Yeah. I was in Melbourne for like 10 years. I fucking loved it. Yeah.
Where were you living in Melbourne?
When I first moved there, a friend of mine, Jess, who I moved over there with, she had a friend that had a place in Sunbury, which is like on the outskirts. Like you take where the airport is, that distance from the airport to the city, you're going the opposite direction. But it was like the last stop on the train line and it was free accommodation. We were allowed to stay there for a few months until we got ourselves set up.
Nice.
And so then once I was there, I ended up moving into like Elstonwick, which is like next door to St Kilda.
Yeah. I used to work in St Kilda.
That was a cool little spot. St Kilda was cool. And by that time I was like working in bars in the city. And so then from there I kind of moved up to the Brunswick area. So I was in Brunswick West for a long time. Normal, like just Brunswick itself. And then I finished up in Pascoe South, like a suburb and a bit across and up. And so like I kind of liked that up northwestern sort of suburb.
I was in the city the whole time, mate. I was in the CBD, bro. I barely left the whole time I was there.
See, I couldn't live in the city. I don't like apartment living.
Yeah.
I like having a house with a backyard and like a garage and shit like this. And that's what we could get out in those areas. One flat I lived at was like a 3-story townhouse. The bottom floor was just garage. It was like a 6-car garage. Yeah. And we kind of like, we set up a pool table down there. And it was just like a bit of a hangout spot, and then the middle floor was like your living room.
You get more bang for your buck as well,
sure.
Right? Yeah. Bro, I do remember when I moved to Melbourne, right? I remember we stayed in this Airbnb, me and my mate, and we like looked across at these apartment buildings. We were like, it'd be amazing if we lived there.
Yeah.
And then a week later, we moved into that apartment building. And I was like, I felt like I made it, but you're right. Apartment living is like...
Yeah, it's not for me.
Nah. And you have like a shared swimming pool, and when you think about it, you're just like in a big pool of like everyone else's
piss.
Yeah, man. Like, when you so... trying to think about it.
No, I liked having like, because when I guess I put so much of my person into work that it was, sometimes it was hard for me to leave. So when I did leave, I really wanted to have something to
out, like,
I wanted 100%. To be out in the burbs. Like I love fucking mowing my lawn on a Saturday morning, and like walking the dog and shit like that. Like I appreciated that as opposed to being in the city all the time. I mean, it definitely made it more pricey to get an Uber home.
Yeah, when you stay out all night. But you can stay out all night in Melbourne and get the first tram home. So
exactly.
Like,
and that's what I do because our tram line like went for the last job I was there was at Crown Casino.
Yeah.
And so the tram stopped. Okay, yeah. I think I must have a fair idea where your apartment building is.
It was on the corner of City Road.
Yeah. So I'd catch from that tram stop that went over the bridge straight away from where the valet was.
I know exactly.
And that would take me to like a block from my house. And it was like, cool, quick 5-10 minute stroll,
nice.
Have a dart and fucking wander along, get home. And but no, I liked being a little bit outside of the burbs.
Yeah.
And like the people that I live with is there, like one of them like worked at the airport, so it was faster to get to the airport and things like that. So then we also had like a cooler amalgamation of people. It wasn't all hospo.
Yeah, I always think that's a really good balance. Like the older I get in hospo, the more I value like the people I know outside of hospo.
Yeah. The day walkers.
The day walkers. I'm pretty much a day walker now. Like, but for argument's sake, let's,
Yeah.
let's,
I mean,
do a
it's
couple of
different
closes.
when you're in the bars all night. And you
Yeah,
just get
100%.
sick of it.
But yeah, I do think it's really crucial for your life balance in general to have friends outside of hospital.
Yeah.
I like play football specifically for that reason. So
Yeah.
So that I meet other people. That
It's good to have people that are outside the circle. It just breaks it up and lets you relax a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, and also I remember when I first moved to New Zealand as well. All my mates were hospo, and you just get into like the cycle of maybe not the best living.
Beers after work.
Yeah, right.
Every day.
Grand Central was a bit of a place that we used to go quite often. Deadshot as well. So, but you change your lifestyle, and you improve. But so talking about so I'd moved to Melbourne. Was there for a year and a half. Worked at a place called Seamstress.
Seamstress. Yep, that was just up from Flinders Lane.
It was Seamstress is Lonsdale Street.
Lonsdale Street.
It was near the Chinese Museum.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a different venue because I think it shut down and reopened.
I'm not
because
sure,
I'm sure there was a seamstress on Flinders Lane just up from Chin Chin.
I didn't know Melbourne like that well, to be honest.
Okay. I might be wrong, so if anyone out there says that I'm wrong.
You could be right, though, and I'm just like denying it.
Lonsdale.
I could be gaslighting you, bro. Sorry.
So you worked at Seamstress?
So I worked at Seamstress, amongst other places during my time in Melbourne. Moved back to Edinburgh, and then from Edinburgh, moved back to Melbourne for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then, didn't. And then moved over to New Zealand. So came here on a working holiday. So it was my 27th birthday the day that I arrived here.
Sick.
So yeah, man. And then I only planned on being in New Zealand for a couple of months and just traveling around, obviously to see like the beauty of New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I came here and like massively fell in love with the country. And I've been here. I moved back for a couple of years, but I've been here pretty much 10 years now. So
perfect.
Yeah, man.
You're now almost a Kiwi.
Almost, mate. I'm not even though, like, because I'm terrible at applying for visas. But
what visa do you have to be on now?
I'm on a partnership visa still.
Perfect.
I'm moving on to a residency something, I think, soon, which I'm just paying a lot of money for currently. So yeah.
Visas are not cheap.
Nah, but once it's done, and then. But like as I say, I moved here and like New Zealand is totally my speed. Just good people, like good produce. I got a good job in a cool bar that I could do what I kind of wanted in. So, I sort of really landed on my feet here. So
nice. So you started at Mea Culpa? Then?
Yeah. So I didn't actually. I started at Racket.
At Racket?
Yeah, and Orleans. Down in where Caretaker is now.
Yes.
So opposite that.
Okay.
There was the like Orleans, like American place.
Yeah, is
and
that
then there
where
was a little dive bar
Theo
next to it.
worked?
I don't. Not when I was there.
Theo was talking about Orleans when I talked.
He might have worked in Orleans though, because that was still going for quite a while after I left.
Yeah, okay.
I only worked there for like 3 days. But I got offered a job at this place that they said was a cool cocktail bar, and it turned out to be like a 3 a.m. dive bar. I remember specifically one guy ordered a cocktail off me at like 2 a.m. on like a Saturday night, and he was like, "Can I get a last word?" It's like, you know when people just order the most random drink, and you're like, "Sure, mate." You're like, "Yeah," but why? And it's not.
Are you sure you don't want a Jaeger bomb?
In it, yeah, like everyone else in here is drinking. That was. So I worked there for a couple of days. Put a CV into a resume, into Darren when he was running Mea Culpa. And he gave me a call. I was on my way to work in a taxi one day, and he was like, "You need to tell your taxi driver to go to Mea Culpa instead of Racket, and then we'll sort out these things." And I just turned up at Mea Culpa and started working.
Perfect.
It was cool, man. Yeah, it was a bit of a baptism of fire, but it was great. And
Mea Culpa was quite an institution, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, so when I first got here, we were like, because Jason, Rosen, and Ben Taylor, who were the owners of Revelry, had just taken over Mea Culpa. They got Darren on board and they needed another person. And what we were trying to do is we were trying to like keep the legacy of what Mea Culpa was going still. So from what I understood it to be, from having a look, Tim used to do like super seasonal produce, change the menus weekly, like pretty much all handwritten and stuff like that. We got rid of like the handwritten stuff, but yeah, we were trying to do like weekly menus, keep everything seasonal. If someone brings in like a load of Fijos, we'll make cocktails until Fijos run out. So for us, it was actually super cost effective. But also it was, as I say, trying to continue with like the New Zealand legacy of like what Tim was doing. So honestly, when I ran that place, I wasn't really looking at like money and seeing if we're doing well. It was just about doing cool drinks and yeah, which probably isn't good for Jason Tier right now. But it was why Mea Culpa was cool. And I think it was why everyone loved it. And you could come in and every experience was like the same but somewhat different because yeah.
How many people did you get in there?
Bro, there was like 13 seats, no, like 12 seats at the bar, and then at a push you could get 25, 30 in. But
yeah, see, and that's quite because it's a little space.
If you've got a load of people outside, but that's probably breaking licensing.
Yeah.
But you're right, tiny space, and it was like basically all bar. Yeah, which it was quite, I thought, quite unique in that respect. It was quite a bespoke experience, and and the eyes were always on you as well. So you like forced to not make a show of it, but try and make sure that you look good doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like the massive mirror in the background helped though, because you just like watching yourself shake cocktails. It was so fun. Mate, became an expert at like looking down the road by looking at the reflection in the mirror. It was kind of creepy actually, but but no, yeah. But yeah, Mea Culpa was, so I worked there for 3 years, and that was like my really like helps me like become well known in New Zealand, but also just like do all the cocktail comps, give it all freedom, and it was a really good experience. Sad when we sold it.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, when did Mea Culpa shut its doors?
It was 2019. It was.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So it went for a while.
Yeah, and then James and Barney took it over, ran it for a while, and then changed it into Clipper. So, but yeah.
They ran it as Mea Culpa?
They ran it as Mea Culpa, I think, for like 3-4 months.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a good time. I have many good memories. I made many good friends there. I worked with a load of people. Most of my friends in New Zealand from like my days working there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
That's good. And then where'd you go after that?
I went to GGX Flamingo on K Road.
Oh,
you remember that place,
yeah.
So you know, Sammy had built that based on Mea Culpa. So I was like, this is going to be an easy job to transition.
I always thought that had the coolest looking back bar.
Yeah, right. Mate, he had Sammy's like personal collection of like random whiskies was pretty hectic. Had the most amazing back bar. Had a great bar setup as well. It was just K Road's just a bit of a hard sell at this point in time. I think.
I have noticed like that you drive down K Road and there's a lot of for lease signs.
Yeah.
And it just, there's also a lot of interesting humans that hang out on K Road.
Still a bit beefy, isn't it? Like,
it's still a bit K-holy.
Yeah. Appropriately named. But yeah, so K Road was a bit of a weird one. It can be busy, but it wasn't really my vibe. GG's was amazing. Sammy was great to work for, but yeah, it just kind of didn't really work for me. So I moved back to Ponsonby, and then went to a place called Scandal.
Scandal?
Yeah,
I've never even heard of Scandal.
Yeah, that's because it was gone.
Very short.
It was pretty short-lived, man, and like it was pretty appropriately named because the guys that ran it were pretty scandalous. Mate, do you know what was really annoying was I went to this place, I wanted to work there because the chef that worked there, I had worked with previously in quite a few places. So like during my time at Mea Culpa, I was writing cocktail lists for like a place called Tok Tok in Takapuna, like a load of different restaurants that were owned by the same group. One of the chefs in that group was amazing. So I was like, I believe in this guy. I think if I'm doing the drinks and he's doing the food, we can't have a bad product,
dream team.
Right? Yeah, right. But not unless someone's going to pay the bills. So. So we went to this place. It was called Scandal. Wasn't really convinced by the name, but did it anyway. And then I found out that it was a complete rip-off of a place in New York called Vandal. And it was an entire... so what I thought was an authentic idea wasn't... the guys didn't really want to run the business, and then it went out of business pretty quickly. But it was during COVID, so it was just hard to get responsored after that. So I went from Scandal, so I did that for about 6 months. Went from there to Saxon and Parole when that opened in Commercial Bay.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Saxon and Parole?
I've heard the name. I've never been inside.
So they're like a New York a New York-based restaurant. They'd won best cocktail bar like in restaurant in the world, so Tales years ago. So like in theory, the bar program was really good. So they'd opened in Commercial Bay, where Origin is currently.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and then so I worked there for about I think 9 months, but that opened, COVID was still a bit COVID-y, and then it closed. So we got made redundant. And then from there, because I'd had a couple of like, it was just like super unstable, I thought it would be best to move back to the UK for a bit. And then.
Brace yourselves. It's sponsorship time. I know ads can feel like the Broccoli podcast, but today we're talking about the Bar Society, a company I own and operate. So think of it as supporting my broccoli farm. This goes out to all cocktail lovers and hospitality pros. Are you ready to elevate your drinking experience? Introducing the Bar Society, New Zealand's leading clear ice supplier. Whether you're stirring down a classic old-fashioned or crafting the perfect gin and tonic, there's no substitute for crystal clear ice. Not only does our ice look stunning, but it also melts slower, keeping your drinks colder and your flavors perfectly balanced. From home bartenders to high-end establishments, the Bar Society's here to bring your beverages to the next level. Order today and see why we're trusted by the best bars and restaurants in New Zealand. Visit thebarsociety.co.nz and let us transform your drinks. The Bar Society. Elevate your drinking experience.
So I moved back to the UK for a couple of years with the missus, worked in London and Manchester, but yeah, New Zealand is better for me. So
Home is where the heart is.
Yeah, man. And also, I've like a lot of my mates for the past 10 years of my life are from here. A lot of, all of my good connections I find are here. It was lovely going back to see family, but the family that I thought that I missed was like, I forgot about all like the drama that you get involved in. I'm better from afar, I think. I find it way less stressful,
Oh, good shit. It is a bit like that. Like, I guess when I was in Melbourne, I didn't even come home for like 6 years.
Mad.
I was just happy.
You're like 4 hours away.
Yeah. I'm just like doing my thing. Like, I was having fun. I would maybe, I don't know, call my parents like once every 3 or 4 months or something.
Yeah.
Most of the time they'd send me a message and I'd just like it. You know, like,
you're like, lol.
But like, I just liked, having the speed, the freedom to, in my own space, to do whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah, right.
You know, to a degree that was probably a bad thing to have.
Yeah, but also you live as long as you're living within your means. It's which you're happy to do, right? Like,
yeah. I never ran out of money, but I probably did way too much shit that I shouldn't have.
Yeah, mate, don't we all? Yeah, especially in places like Melbourne when you've got.
Right.
Revolver open 24 hours and stuff like that.
Fuck. You've had a couple of sessions at Revs?
Yeah, only a couple though. Because I went in there a couple of times and you feel like not human when you leave.
Bro,
so,
it's unreal. And like, you know, when they transition into like the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. room, so they can clean the other room, and then once you hit 6, you're like back in the other room, and it just goes continuously.
That's just so they can like clean the rooms.
Yeah. That's just because it's open 24/7 from like, I think it's 11 p.m. on Thursday night
till like Sunday,
till 10 a.m. Monday morning, and it doesn't shut. And there was.
I imagine they just go in there with jet blasters afterwards and just like get rid of the filth.
The thing is, it was actually a really, before it opens on a Thursday night, it's in that dead space. It's a really, really good Thai restaurant. And so like, it's still the old shitty tables and couches and chairs with just like those plastic tablecloths on it. But like the food is legit. And they'd be sending out all of this great like kind of Thai... American style food, so you could get like chips and fries, you know, whatever, and things like that, but it all had like these different spices and stuff. Like the food was legit. Nice. I went there for dinner a couple of times, but then at 11 o'clock it turns in just like debauchery.
Then it's just
the DJs come on and everyone's cooked as on the dance floor.
But actually, talking of Asian food though, Melbourne was the first place that really got me into really more authentic, like legit Asian food. I have to say. Yeah.
Is that in Chinatown?
Bro. It's like called Chinatown, but it's all sorts of
there's heaps of places
Indonesian,
around.
Korean, and mate, like some of the foods I had that. Like I got introduced to yum cha, the bread. That was a revelation.
Yum cha's good.
I'm going to yum cha after this.
Oh, nice.
Going with Miller actually.
Oh, nice. That should be good
mate,
fun.
me and Miller are just gonna smash heaps of dumplings. It should be good.
Okay, shit. Where are you going?
Somewhere in Newmarket. I don't know.
Okay.
I just turn up and I'm just like, as soon as the trolley gets, I just go a bit ham. It's good, man. It's good.
It's a good way to spend a Saturday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And so like introduced to all these like different cultures and stuff like that. Going to Melbourne. So yeah, Melbourne for me was like a really good eye-opening experience. Having lived in the UK and not really travelled that much in all my, I've been on holidays, but not really like lived anywhere else. So yeah, Melbourne was like a great place, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good spot. If there was anywhere I was going to move, I'd move back to Melbourne.
Really? Yeah. We won't go man, Sydney, the weather's good though. Sydney is Auckland on steroids, basically. Right?
Yeah, and like Sydney, the weather is good. Like I used to date a chick that she was from Melbourne, but she moved to Sydney to open a new restaurant for the group that we were working for.
Yeah.
And I would like fly up every other weekend to catch up with her, and she would fly down the in-between weekends.
Yeah, nice.
And but my time in Sydney, like the thing that really kicked me, one day we were coming from we'd been out at the beach somewhere, and we were heading to a restaurant for dinner to meet some friends, and we missed our exit, and then maps just shut down because nothing is organized in terms of road mapping there. And so the map could not figure out where we were. It's like we drive under a bridge on the freeway and it thinks we're on the bridge.
It thinks you're on that. Yeah.
Like, fuck, bro. It just drove me insane trying to navigate it. It was so confusing. And like the thing I liked about Melbourne is it's a grid.
Yeah.
You know, like it's real easy to find.
That was the buzziest thing to me, by the way, moving there. I'd never lived in a place like that, bro.
Yeah.
It's just like
and there's like that sort of what was it like King William, Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. It's quite easy to remember, right?
Super easy. And you'd have like, Flinders Street and then Flinders Lane. And you have like Burke Street and Little Burke and Collins and Little Collins. It was just easy to remember it all and navigate.
It's pretty idiot-proof, right?
For sure. And there's so much going on in the city. It's like corporate and hospitality and entertainment. Whereas in Sydney, the city I always found was very corporate.
Right?
And then you have to go into the burbs like Surrey Hills or something to do anything sort of entertainment or hospo.
Although I have to say I did find Fitzroy a bit too much.
Fitzroy, it's just
a bit too alternative.
It is quite alternative, and it's kind of like old school trying to be gentrified.
Yeah,
it's in that in-between spot. And then I always got confused because you had Brunswick Street running through the middle of Fitzroy.
You're like, in Brunswick.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing for me was, because I lived in Fitzroy briefly, and the rent was astronomical. The place was shit. And I was like, what am I paying for here? And then, just because you live in Fitzroy.
Yeah.
Buzzy. You could just live up the street in a nicer house and pay
the houses there are massive.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, they are pretty. What, in Fitzroy or?
Yeah, in Fitzroy. Like, I had some friends, they lived in like a townhouse in Fitzroy, and like the fucking bedrooms, bro. Each bedroom had a fireplace. And they were huge. I definitely stayed in the wrong place. It's like, 3 stories. Yeah. And it was just out the gate.
Mate, we stayed in a place that was like built onto the edge of like another place. It was like half of it was like corrugated iron, mate. It was terrible. So yeah, I don't have the same experience, I'm afraid.
See, I like them because they're all like high ceilings, like old Victorian style fucking buildings. Like there were some legit places there that were massive.
I find the houses in Auckland are quite good like that though.
Yeah. I've never like properly lived in Auckland.
Have you not? Yeah, Hamilton.
Nah, well, like I lived here for a little time. So I was audio engineering at the time. I was doing like an apprenticeship.
Was it?
And in Parnell on Parnell Rise, the dude who I was working for, he had a music studio.
Yeah.
And so downstairs you had like 5 or so studio rooms, and then a 1-bedroom apartment type thing where someone lived. Who the studio manager, he lived there. And then on the second floor, there was like another 3 or 4 studio rooms, and then there was like a doorway that separated you from a living quarters, and there was maybe like 4 or 5 rooms in there. There was like 14 of us that lived there.
I was like, mate, how big is this?
Yeah. And then you had the third level, which like the dude that I worked for, he lived up there.
Yeah.
And that was like a full-on
He was like,
apartments
Yeah.
that would look over the roof of what was below. And so there was quite a few of us that lived there, and the rooms were all nice and big and everything like that.
That's
But
quite
that's
cool. That's
all
like
I really did.
That's like uni living, that is.
It-
Was it a bit uni living, or was this when you were younger, or?
Yeah, I was 18.
Oh, mad.
Like 18, like I was pretty young, and I only did the audio engineering for like, 6 to 10 months maybe. And then for the last 2 months that I was here, that's where I started working, and I made the breadcrumb mojito. Because that was like my first time in the hospital. The origin story.
Yeah, it's mad when you think about how far you've come since then, though, right?
Oh, bro, unreal. Yeah, unreal. I never thought I'd ever end up as like a bar manager or a venue manager or...
And then owning your own business.
And then owning my own business. Like, I knew owning a business was always a goal. Like, I grew up with parents that own their own businesses. And so...
it's good to be your own boss then.
It's great to be your own boss. But, there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like, one thing I never had really thought about is when I ran bars for other people, I never paid any attention to how much money I spent or saved because I had the fortune of working for big companies that had cash.
It didn't matter, right?
It didn't matter. Like, if I accidentally ordered 3 cases of something when I only needed one, don't worry. It's just going to sit there and we'll sell it. It doesn't really matter. Whereas, like, for me, now having a business, if I order that...
You're scrutinizing everything, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, fuck, I've over-ordered in that, and now I can't order that because we're just on a little budget.
Well, also, mate, when it's your money, you know that those 2 cases are like potentially your rent for the week.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Then, it becomes a bit more real, eh?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But
owning a business was always a dream, but I never knew exactly what I wanted to do because I think, like, as I grew up, I went through different stages of like.
I can't imagine as a kid you're like, I want to make ice.
Well, exactly, bro. Like ice, like it's funny. I was always good at sales, and so my parents always said things to the effect of like, you could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah, and now you're just selling it.
Bro, now I just sell ice to bartenders.
To Kiwis instead, man. You're pretty close, mate. You need to get a customer in Greenland.
Yeah.
And then you have literally sold ice to the Eskimos. That's great.
Yeah, I just like I knew I was selling was always an attribute that I had, and
which leans heavily into bartending as well, right?
Bro, you have to be a salesman because like I started off in the kitchen.
Yeah,
I thought I wanted to be a chef and follow my brother's footsteps, and then I realized that I'm too much of a people person.
Yeah,
like I'm doing the same. Bartenders and chefs, we essentially do the same thing to different things.
Yeah.
We're prepping ingredients, we're making
the extroverted
components.
version of, aren't we? Like,
exactly. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. The extroverted version of chefs. Yeah. And we just like, I always thought like, if I fuck up a steak and send it to a table, it's going to take me like 20 minutes to fix all that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I fuck up a drink, it takes me 2 minutes to redo it. And I'm kind of like, I like solving problems quick.
Limitation, eh? Like,
yeah, exactly. And so, running bars, and then, like, because the ice came about from when I was working in Melbourne, our company essentially signed a deal with Navy Strength Ice over there. And they were, like, the first company in Australia to start doing ice.
Yeah.
And we started buying it in after making it ourselves. And it was just costing me a fraction of what the staff cost was.
Yeah.
Because I could work out, like, based on watching my staff do it and time them, 10 to 15 cubes in about an hour.
Yeah.
And you're paying someone in Melbourne, like, say, $30 an hour.
$40 an hour now.
If you're only getting 10 cubes done in that hour, it's costing you, like, $3 a cube.
Yeah.
And then we could buy it in for, like, $1 a cube. And it was perfect every time, because then I also had inconsistencies based on the stuff that we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we're saving, like, 2/3 of wage costs. And then...
It's mad that you save money by outsourcing it.
Crazy. And then I could actually get the bartenders to focus on doing something. So... at that time, we implemented a bartender's choice page, where each of the bartenders got to create their own drink.
Was this a eau de vie or was
this was at Spice Temple for the Rock Pool group.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we had like our Zodiac list, which was all after the Chinese. Zodiac Spice Temple being a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, the names never changed, but all the ingredients would change. So we'd revise the menu. But I think for like 10 years, it was the same menu. And then when I came in, I think I was the first bar manager that was allowed to actually change stuff.
Right.
And then we did a modern...
Probably brought in on the proviso of doing that, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Because I got one of the guys that had been working there for a while got overlooked for the role, and I took it, and there was like a bit of a rift between us and things like that. As it happens, like he was also like 20
the
years.
The egos of bartenders, mate. Like,
Hard. And he was also like 20 years my senior.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I got brought in. I got to change that, and then we added like modern classics, and so we started throwing in things like white Negroni daiquiris and like Benton's old fashions and things like this. Yeah. And then when we switched over the ice, I got to do a bartender's choice page where all the bartenders would come up with their own drinks, would put it on there, and then we'd run it for 2 months, and whoever sold the most of their drink
won something.
Well, no, they would get to go on the Zodiac's list.
Oh, nice.
And that would swap out and become a proper menu cocktail, and then everyone would create another drink again, and it went on. And so that also allowed me to change what our core cocktail range was based on, one, me not having to do everything, and two, what we proved customers liked. It was like,
you don't. It's not a guessing game, right? You're just
exactly. We've figured out what sells. Like this person's done a last word and they've swapped out a couple of ingredients, and it seems to sell really, really well.
Yeah,
great. Market has already said that works, and so then we'll put that on. And so then instead of just getting the stuff to cut ice, they got somewhat empowered by an opportunity to be creative and then achieve something by having their drinks on the menu.
And also, the ice you're getting, as you say, from the other companies is actually probably better than what your bartenders are doing anyway.
Way better.
Yeah.
It was leaps and bounds above what we were doing. And when COVID shut our restaurants down, I was just like, fuck it. Like, I made the decision to come back to New Zealand, and then a friend of mine was like, you should do ice. Because they had been
still no one else doing it, mate, really. Like,
well, I mean,
I know there's a couple of companies. But
we got a couple of companies like, honourable mentions, Ice Creations up in here in Auckland, and Ice Rescue down in Wellington.
Yeah.
And like, I like the fact that there are other people doing it.
Yeah.
But I think we definitely spotted a little bit of a hole.
100%.
A little bit of a gap in the market.
There, like,
and we've just gone for it. And it's turning out all right at the moment.
Well, everyone I know that runs bars in Auckland basically uses you. So
and that was the ultimate goal. I mean, and I think something that has really helped is having the bartender background.
Yeah.
I understand the language.
Well, you know what they want, don't you? Well, also, yeah, actually you do, because I've had experience of that firsthand, where you've come in and been like, here's what the ice looks like. Well, you get it made up in, I don't know what kind of material it's made up of, but with the ice molds where you put
the little 3D printed molds.
Yeah. Like something like that saves you so much hassle.
Bro.
And saves us the financial, like,
I would hate for you guys
like ordering something.
Ordering something that's the wrong size.
Yeah,
like there's nothing.
And I'd hate to be like shaving down your ice that you spent fucking ages just like shaving for us. Like, so I'd rather just get the specs right and then.
What's all about, like, I always think of, because it's coming from like a bar manager's mindset, I think like it has to be efficient, it has to look good, and it has to be easy to work with.
Yeah.
So those are the only real 3 criteria. As long as we can make the ice clear,
then
the hard work is making sure it's efficient and making sure it's right.
And as you say, looking at it from the bar manager's perspective, I guess is super important, because they're the people that are spending the money at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, even, when we have venues that we do slabs for, I factor in how much time they're going to take to cut those slabs.
Yeah.
And so then I drop my cost
to factor in the
fact that they have to cut it. So when that product is at its final stage again, it's still matching the $1 a piece that we that we market.
You don't need to consider it that heavily either, because you've not really got any competition, but it's like good that you do, right?
Well, I mean, it's just, I'm a firm believer that maybe I could charge more for things like that, but then I make it harder on the venue to succeed. And if the venue struggles to succeed, there's potentially a venue that shuts down, or we lose.
Yeah, well, you ultimately don't succeed, right? If they shut down, so
exactly.
Yeah, I can see the long-term strategy in that.
Yeah, bro. Like, there's a dude that has a line. Here's like, you don't want to be short-term greedy. You want to be long-term greedy. And long-term greedy is making your service and your product put you in a position where the people that you're looking after are going to succeed, and you get long-term value out of that.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the goal. Like,
100%.
I know it's expensive hard water.
Yeah. It's like cold water in it. Like,
bro, it's hard water, and it's way pricier than any other hard water that you buy.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the downfall
Premium hard
of a
water.
venue. Premium hard water. Artisanal.
Yeah. Bespoke, you know. Yeah, as long as
Exactly.
you got enough good words for it.
Yeah, but I don't want to be something contributing to a venue struggling.
Yeah.
Just because they want to look a little bit.
No, you
more
want to
fancy.
contribute to the
Success of them.
Yeah, and also, but it adds a lot of value, I believe. So, yeah, from my experience,
I think so. And like I really want it to be able to, you can almost justify charging a little bit more for the cocktail.
Yeah.
Because of the ice that's in it. Because
Yeah.
when I was down at Theo's the other day doing the podcast.
Cool place, though.
Great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Sick.
I
little
love
spot.
the layout, like essentially a bit like Panacea here.
Yeah.
It's quite a modern. It's a modern bartending spot, and we don't have many of those in
Yeah.
Auckland at the moment.
Yeah.
So I believe that obviously at Bedford, we're like a neighborhood. Like obviously we make a lot of cocktails, great cocktails, always use fresh ingredients, right? But we're like more of a neighborhood bar. They've got like quite a cool, classy.
Yeah.
As I say, like modern.
And like the canapes that match with the cocktails.
Yeah,
And
and they've got
everything.
like the equipment out. I like stuff like that because it kind of makes you intrigued.
Yeah, they've got
as
this
to- the
centrifuge up
bro.
on the
yeah,
bench,
yeah. I know that's
yeah.
probably also like a space issue as well, but but it's cool. I like when. Do you know what, man? One of the best bar experiences. So I'm going to go off on a complete tangent.
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
right?
go for it.
One of the best bar experiences I've had in like a couple of years was I went to Penang in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
We went to this super random cocktail bar, like opposite some mall. There was nothing else around it apart from a really sick bar next door. But we go into this cocktail bar, man, and they've got every single gadget you can think of, mate. Like they've got centrifuge, rotovap, heaps of other shit that I was like, what is this? I was like, why do you have all this? I was asking the lady, she's like, I used to run a really cool bar in London. And I managed to convince these people to buy all this stuff for me here. But some of the, mate, it was super random, mate. Like, yeah. It was, honestly, like, having seen all this equipment, I was like, this is like worthy of pretty much any bar. She's like, yeah, it's cool. Like, in Penang, and this is like random place. But some of the best drinks that I've had in absolutely years. And yeah, it was like such a super random experience. But you go in and you see, as I say, like you go into Theo's bar, you see all like the cool little gadgets and stuff like that. I'd seen all that like obviously elevated my experience a little bit. You try the fruits of the labor of using that, and yeah, also like I think like the Asian style of bartending is like I really like it. It's super crisp, it's super clean. It's like very like the perfectionist. So yeah, it's I was like the place that I did not expect to have such a great cocktail experience, but yeah, that was like best thing I've had in years.
Love it.
I have to say.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
Also went to have a jungle bird at the aviary.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, bro. I bought the glass and everything. Like, I'm such a sucker though for like going to a place where a drink was created. That's like one thing that I think throughout my life since I got into bartending. I've been to like the Raffles, had the Singapore Sling. Been to Harry's bar in Paris and had a sidecar and a Bloody Mary. Been to Harry's bar in Venice, which is the biggest rip-off in the world, and had a Bellini. Like, it's cool.
How much was the Bellini?
It was mate. It was like $45 or something like that. Yeah, bro. And it was like I bought
some peach and some
I
Prosecco.
bought one from the shop down the road later. I was like, this is exactly the same. But it's more like you're paying for like the being in the same room.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it because I'm like, tick off the list. I wouldn't go in there just like if I walked in there, I'd be well gutted with paying that much money. But yeah, going to all these like different bars and I do quite enjoy doing that. So yeah, that was an interesting. Yeah, Jungle Bird was very good. Yeah, the Bellini not so good. The Raffles again as well is like wasn't great. But we went there in like 2014. So
I bet like the crew at Raffles have like a really good throw. Like whenever they're making their Singapore slings.
They were doing it off a tap at that point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mate, it was terrible. I actually know the people that went over there. I used to work with the people that then went and like zhuzhed up a bit and started using better produce and probably made it into a much better bar than it was at that point in time. But yeah, it was awful.
They were doing Singapore slings on tap.
But it was, and it's all like sweet and sour mix. And there was nothing. Fuck. Yeah, it was pretty awful. But you're in the Raffles, so you're like $38. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, you pay to be in the cool spot.
Yeah, right.
It is crazy. It's a little bit of a shame where you have venues that have such.
I don't expect the best experience because you always got to bear in mind though, like when you go to a place where that came from, it's not always the best version of that thing, right? And I think that's what we sometimes associate. We're going to be like, that's going to be
the top tier.
Yeah, and it's not. It's just like the place where it started, and then heaps of other people got it and then made it a lot better.
Made it better. Yeah, and I think that is sort of the first car that ever was built. Probably wasn't the best car. It's when people get a hold of it and they start fucking around with it.
I met South Melbourne Markets where the dim sim was invented, but I had that it's not good. I've had really good ones in Melbourne, but not that one. But that was where it comes from.
The old dim sim.
A little bite of history, but
I can't do dim sims, bro. When I broke my first encounter with a dim sim, a mate of mine that I was working with, he used to bring frozen dim sims to work. And then he would like microwave them. And I was like, what the fuck is that? He's like, it's a dim sum. And I was like, having a look at the packet, read the ingredients, and it was like beef and or chicken and or pork and or lamb.
It's worse when you read it and you're like, it's beef like 56%. And you're like, what is the other 40-something percent, bro? I've done that before.
I just...
Maybe not buy that.
I read it and I was just like, I'm not having that. It's like dog food.
So I have the same opinion of gas station pies. They're the ones that sit in like the plastic package. Right. And when I worked in a corporate with Miller for like a year and a half, this dude every day would eat one of these pies, and I'd be like, I don't know how you can put that inside yourself. Hey, but he would, and I was like, but I like pies more now. I've been in New Zealand for a while, but I still can't get behind the ones that come in the packets.
Oh, bro, you missed out. When I was younger and like in my like high school skateboarding years, we used to in Taupo.
Yeah,
you had our college.
I love like the idea of like being badass in Taupo. By the way, it's like growing up in Manchester where like.
People get
There's
shanked.
Actually people like it's not that bad, bro. But I know, there's like savory moments that happen. Or like one day you like get robbed and like you just gotta give them your phone sort of thing. Like I hear about like all these things from people who grew up in places like this, and I'm always like
well, I mean, really my story is just about the pies. So like between the college and the skate park, there was this dairy. And like New Zealand used to have $1 pies.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think the brand was Irvine's, and they were in their plastic wrapper, and they were nowadays, they were you would consider them the shittiest pies with the most plastic fake cheese in them and everything like this, but they were $1. And so you'd go there with $5, you get 5 pies, go to the skate park. Yeah. Bro, chow down. I like lived on them.
Man, I can get behind value though. Like, if it's $1, bro, like I'll eat the plastic pie. But that said though, I was there's some things in New Zealand, right, that are actually better, cheaper.
Yeah.
Right? One of them, I got introduced to cheese rolls.
Cheese rolls. Okay.
Southland. This is a thing apparently, right?
It's just like the white bread with a bit of cheese in it rolled up.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
What in the poverty is that, mate? Like, it was honestly when I got it, that explained to me. I was like, mate, this is a mad meal. Like, and then I seen this girl that I lived with eat like pretty much a whole loaf of bread and like cheese scrolls. I was like, mad. But I actually having tried, and I tried it once when someone made it with like nice bread, and I was like, this is awful. You do it with like shit bread, and it's like this is where it's at. So I actually can like now get behind that sort of thing. The other thing that my wonderful partner has introduced me to, right, and it's like something we have on a more regular basis than I care to admit, is spaghetti buns.
Spaghetti buns.
This might just be like a thing that she does.
Okay,
I think it's a Kiwi
explain.
thing. Like, but just like a bun with
spaghetti
tin spaghetti, and like plastic cheese, and then like another bun on top. Or you can do open sandwiches, but
the open sandwiches.
Yeah, it's getting a bit gastronomic.
How very gourmet of you.
But mate, I can fully get behind these.
Okay, I can't say. I mean, growing up, we were never a big like tin spaghetti or baked bean type family. But like
that's not a bad thing. Like, yeah.
But we did do like tin spaghetti toasties.
Yeah,
and so like whack your spaghetti in there.
But it's got to be done on like poor bread, like not good bread.
Poor bread.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's got to be done on like.
Make myself seem like such a knob at it. Like,
your Pam's and tip top white loaf. Super soft.
It's not butter. It's like canola based like butter substitute.
Your Meadow Lee or something.
Yeah.
Here we go again. It's ad time. But don't hit that skip button just yet. Today's sponsor is First Class Cocktails, another company that I own and operate, so technically it's less of an ad and more of me shamelessly promoting myself. You know what's better than a great cocktail? A great cocktail with no effort. Meet First Class Cocktails, New Zealand's premier provider of premium bottled, ready-to-drink cocktails. We're talking about perfectly balanced flavors, made with the finest ingredients, and all you have to do is pour, sip, and enjoy. From timeless classics like the martini and the old fashioned, to bold new creations like our pineapple and chili margarita. First Class Cocktails ensures every drink feels like a first class experience. Whether it's a night in or a party out with friends, we've got your cocktail game covered. Order now at firstclasscocktails.com and raise your glass to effortless luxury. First Class Cocktails, because every moment deserves to feel first class.
That's like, but yeah, once you do it that way, even recently, we went to the Mount last week and stopped off at like a bad bakery. And,
A bad bakery?
Yeah, well, you know when it's like, it's got like chains on the wood. No, but we go to this bakery and then we got something toasty, but I was like, this is so good because it's not good. Like,
Yeah. There's the novelty in it.
it was like $6 and you're like,
See, that's the thing. Like, it's
value.
when I go to different places, I look at some food items and I'm like, so I love anything like bacon and egg.
Yeah.
And so like a bacon egg McMuffin, right?
Yeah.
You go to like Robert Harris, it's like $13 and you get a bit of bacon, a egg, and a hash brown, and someone sprinkled some fucking parsley.
I know you're going to
on it.
reference Macca's. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, sometimes I think Macca's is better value for money in
100%,
those
bro.
regards.
Like, also, the Macca's app. Have you got the Macca's app?
I had it, but I just get so sick of how long it takes at the drive-thru. Like, the only reason I go to Macca's is because it's fast. As soon as you bring the fucking app into it, I might as well park the car and walk into the
Literally,
shop.
bro, that's what I do now. Yeah, I just go inside now and I'm like,
Oh, it just drives me insane. And they're like, have you got the code?
Yeah.
I'm like, here's my code. And they're like, so did you say F or X? Oh, fuck.
well, the worst bit for me on that, and this is going to make me look like a fat bastard, right? is if you use multiple codes.
And they give you 3 different
Yeah,
orders.
man. So you're like, they're like, by the third one, they're like, can I help you? Or like, you keep receiving things, but not leaving. And like, this is how this usually goes, right? So yeah, I did notice. Like, by the third thing, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I've
just
because
pretty
I've
much
done
wrong.
that before. Because I did use the app for a while. I was like, because like when I lived in Taupo before we lived into Hamilton,
Home of the world's best McDonald's, right?
bro, great. And I would get Macca's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner on a delivery day. Because I was leaving home at like 5 a.m. I was getting back at like fucking
Don't need to
10
justify it to
p.m.
me, mate. You
Bro, I was just Macca's, bring it on.
Yeah.
My Macca's bill each month was like $700.
Then you get like points on the like gold member on the Macca's app. Like,
They're gonna give me a fucking name tag
yeah,
soon.
right. I used to work at Macca's, you know.
Did you?
Yeah, bro. That was my first ever job.
What section were you in?
The kitchen initially.
Okay.
Right. So do you know? Actually, I was on the tills initially. Then I had to go to the kitchen because I could not deal with people. Like, because it's not. I'm having worked in customer service now for a long time. Yeah. I'm good with customers.
Yeah.
And I see when people come up to you and they're like, hi, can I have a McWater, please? You're like, fuck off, mate. Like, and then they're like that with their mates, like, and then, yeah, bro. And then you just get, just shit kids. So the kitchen was bad, man. You can just make whatever you want within reason. Eat whatever you want.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much free food do you get?
Depends how you play it, bro. So,
cancel order.
Now, if it's 10 minutes before like you're about to close, drop 40 chicken nuggets. Who's going to eat 40 chicken nuggets? Maybe some people, but you've got a reserve, right? And then if not, you've got 40 chicken nuggets. And then on your breaks, you could like make whatever you want, I think. But I used to I got quite a few warnings for... I was 17, I think, so I didn't really give a fuck at this point in time, right? For eating chicken nuggets out of the, like, just the trays that they keep it, which was like well within their rights. Like, it was like not a good thing for me to do, but yeah, it was cool. It was good, man. Yeah, it was a really eye-opening experience. In fact, this is actually kind of mad, but it was like the first place I got like sexually violated at work as well. But yeah, man. It was. I didn't realize it at the time, but well, I did because I made a complaint about it. But for a bit, I kind of let it slide, and then there was this like older lady that I worked with who would like occasionally make really like lewd comments about me, and then would occasionally touch my ass, and then that was the bit where I was like, I can deal with the lewd comments, but I can't deal with like the physical like touching. And then so then she got like disciplined for it, and I came into work and she's like, "Fuck you." I was like, "You're not dealing with this well,
bro." She was trying to take you home at night, and now she's trying to fucking murder you,
bro. Literally. I have another quite funny story from my initial work days before I got into hospitality, and one of them was I worked at Sainsbury's, which is. Did you ever live in the UK?
No, but it's like a supermarket.
Yeah, it's a supermarket. Yeah, essentially. Sainsbury's would be New World.
Okay, right? Yeah. Kind of that mid-level.
Yeah. So I worked there. I worked on the tills there for a while whilst I was at uni, obviously trying to hustle. One of my mum's friends came in, because we used to live in Manchester previous to that. She came in, she's like, "It's your birthday, here's 20 quid. She gave me this 20 quid. For some reason, I got into a bit of trouble because I had money on me. They thought I'd stolen it from the tills. I was like, I initially lied about where I got it from. And then, I don't know, for some reason. And then as soon as I told the lie, I was like, I don't know why I just said that. I was lying. And they're like, "Now we got disciplined you." So we're in this like meeting. I'm like, I can call my mum. I was like, I don't know this lady's number, but I can call my mum and ask her to get her number. And we can sort all this out so that I don't get fired for like stealing. Yeah. And so I called my mum up, and because it's my birthday and I've not spoken to her yet, so I've got the store manager and like some like a HR manager or something like that, and we call my mum and it's on loudspeaker, and she's like, "Jeremy, it's your birthday. I've not spoken to you yet." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I was like trying to interject, and she's like, no. And then she starts singing "Happy Birthday, Bro." But this is in front of like all of like the important people in the store, and she's like, "Happy Birthday," and then it goes through this like,
does the whole song,
bro, like the whole thing, wouldn't let me interrupt at all, like "To you." It's like ridiculous. And I'm like so mortified, mate, with these two people next to me, and and then. I was like, "Okay, so I'm here with these people." She's like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, it was. Sorry, it just brought back the memories of that. Hands down, the most embarrassing moment I've ever had at work, and it lasted for a good couple of minutes.
And so, what happened with the stolen money? I
didn't steal any money. So they
getting it a go.
Well, they gave it to me, and they were like, "Yeah, we probably shouldn't have lied about that." And I was like, "Yeah." Why did you lie? I don't know.
It's crazy how you do that sometimes. Like I noticed that sometimes with like celebrities on like talk shows, and they're like, "Oh, like, have you done so and so before?" And they're like, "No, wait, I just lied about that for no reason."
Yeah.
Like I've definitely done that before, where you just like you don't even think fast enough to say the truth, but you just.
100%, mate, I came up with some ridiculous story for it as well. Like, it was like I was like, "Oh nah," I like brought it into work with me, but then something, and they're like, "We can just check the cameras." Like, we can. I was like, "Okay, right, this is actually what happened," because you're gonna see someone be like, "Here's money," and then it'll look like.
Yeah, for sure. I was always sketchy with things like when in bars.
Yeah.
Say a customer ordered like $45 worth of cocktails, and they pay with a $50 note, and they're like, "Keep the change," and then you like take that $5 note, and you're like, it looks real dodgy if someo's watching the camera and said, "I just take $5 out and pocket it," and so like then you have to like in those moments I would consciously.
Up to the cameras, you're like...
Well, I would consciously give it back to the customer.
Yeah.
And then allow them to refuse it on camera so I can then put it in my pocket.
Did you ever do like a shocked face when they were like, "Here you go back"?
And I'm like,
"For me?"
Act out a whole mime thing.
Yeah, be like, this guy. That'd be so good.
The thing is, it's like, I imagine when someone steals from the till, they don't do it that obviously as well.
You would think, right?
It's not just take it out and put it in the pocket.
Yeah.
There's some sort of routine that they go through, like, oh, I've fallen over the bar
well,
here. It's some sort of over-exaggerated bullshit.
Yeah. Or, as you say, you just wouldn't be like that obvious.
Yeah, it's just not natural.
Sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight, mate. So yeah,
Yeah, true
sometimes
that.
you think that, and then you're like, oh no, listen, actually just stole from me.
True that. The first, like, I bullshitted my way into this job completely. But, like, I had worked here on the viaduct.
Yeah.
That's where I made the breadcrumb mojito. And I was there for, like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months. And
Why were the breadcrumbs on the bar? Is a good. Sorry.
So Cowboys and Outlaws that used to be on the viaduct. So
Yeah.
this was at Outlaws, and you had
So
breadcrumbs
good.
out the back because we used to do like pizzas and things like this.
Right.
And to be totally honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just shouldn't be in a bar, right? Like,
It shouldn't really be in the
Yeah.
bar. But we did like pizzas and we did little food items and things like this. And so maybe, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got fired for stealing.
Yeah.
So a dude that I was friends with was the manager.
Yeah.
And
Did he fire you?
yeah, he fired me. He was stealing. So there was money missing.
Yeah.
And the owners were like, where the fuck's the money gone? And then he pulled me into the office and showed me a video of like the owner's son came in with a couple of friends.
Yeah.
And this is back in the days when like Agua first came out. We're doing
Yeah,
Agua
yeah,
bubbles
yeah,
and
yeah,
out
yeah.
those weird little fucking glasses.
That's awful.
And they brought around, and down in the bar, I was like, I'm going to have one with you guys. And like the dude who was the owner's son, he was like, yeah, bro, go have one and everything like this.
Yeah.
So I pour them and like, I have a drink with them, this, that, and the other. And then I go to the till and I smash in all of them. But they got like, we're talking like 8
Yeah.
or fuck, however many of them. And as I'm like putting it in and put it on his tab, I was one short.
Oh, they stitched you up on that?
So money was missing.
Yeah.
I then got pulled in to the office by this dude who I thought was my mate. He had got me the job there. I wonder if he got me the job there to be a scapegoat. But anyway, he was stealing
Yeah.
shit. And he pulled me in and he shows me the cameras and he was like, you know, you stole that and there's other things that are missing, so it must be you type thing. And I'm like, bro, I'm broke as shit. Like, you know this.
Yeah.
You pay my wages and every week my bar tab is bigger than what I get paid, so I still owe the
So
bar money.
still-
Like, bro, you know. There's,
How do you come out in a deficit?
exactly. Like, I was bad at this.
Yeah.
Like, 18, working in a bar, unlimited bar tab. I did not get paid at all from that job ever, I don't think.
It's like just charity work.
I owed the money when I
I
left
used to
just
work
on
with
my
a kid.
tab.
I used to work with a kid in Edinburgh who used to get, oh mate, he was such a lovely guy, but he used to like not be able to manage his finances properly at all. It's
Yeah.
similar like in
Very-
vein to that,
yeah.
right? And he'd be like, I need a sub this week, like of this much, and you'd give him the sub, and then he'd come in the next day and be like, went out for the loveliest meal last night. I'd be like, mate, like. Where did you go? And he'd be like, places I can't afford to go. And I'm like, oh, more money than you are. He's like, yeah, I went on a date. It was lovely. And I'm like, mate, we're
power of the
not
pussy,
here
yeah.
to like, yeah, right, yeah. Man, I'm like, we're not here to fund your lifestyle, mate. Like, you have to like live within your means. Like, take it to Macca's.
Yeah, that's the.
Nice. Get the deal. Use the app.
What I did when I was in Melbourne, like, because I was when I first got to Melbourne, I was just going fucking hard in the paint. Like,
Yeah.
I spent every dollar I earned, and I moved into a place that I knew 1 week's worth of wages
Yeah.
would cover my rent for the month. And my power bill. So for 3 weeks,
You're
I
living-
would
living
blow
free,
the
right,
paycheck,
yeah.
bro. 100% of it went out on like booze and food and gear.
Yeah.
Like, it was out the gate. And then the last one would come. And by that time, I needed a break.
Yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah,
like
you
a
like a
zombie.
week detox afterwards. Like, you're like,
Exactly. And then all of my paycheck would go straight to like rent and bills. And then I'm good. And I rinse and
It was
repeat.
one of the reasons actually I like left Melbourne and didn't really want to go back initially was because I used to work so much when I was there because there's like so many good bars, so much good work to do. Like you can actually occupy your time working all the time. So yeah, I do remember when you were talking about like just spending as much as you can. I remember we'd earn like heaps per week, and then Sunday would be like D-Day, bro. And like,
Yeah.
Did you ever know a place called the Beaufort?
Beaufort, yeah.
Bro. I mean, I spent so much money in that place. But we were working so much that it didn't even matter. We'd still save regardless, right? But yeah, mate, I'd be like $400 deep in a tab, like hacking my name into the bar at the Beaufort. But it was such a good place.
They did the best bar food.
Mate,
like, bro,
unbelievable.
Their burgers.
Remember their chicken? Their beer can chicken? Yeah, man. Also, their cocktails were unbelievable.
Yeah.
They used to have a guy that worked there called Paul Hammond, right?
Yeah.
I used to work with him at Seamstress.
Okay,
He's one of the most unbelievable bartenders I've ever worked with. And going in and that's one thing that I used to love about, talking about going to bars and earlier on in Edinburgh. Like, one of the things I loved about Melbourne as well was going into this dive bar, watching sick bartenders make sick drinks with premium ingredients, and it was everything was just pretty awesome. It was I remember Dave Kerr as well. The guy, he used to work there. When you look back, you're like, man, there was such a sick team of people that used to work in this place. And yeah, man, that was one of my favorite. But the amount of times I leave there on a Sunday, just
bro, when Uber Eats started.
I'm so glad I wasn't there for that, by the way.
Oh, bro. The Beaufort was on Uber Eats. And
but you need to be there, bro.
Well, they also had their cocktails.
Yeah.
You could buy bottled cocktails. And so, I was dating this chick at the time.
Yeah.
And the Beaufort was her favourite spot to go. And it was maybe a suburb or two over with. And we'd jump on Uber Eats. We'd order, chicken, mac and cheese, a couple of burgers, couple of Negronis, couple of martinis.
It was the dirtiest food, bro.
Yeah.
But it was so good. For that reason.
I fucking loved it. And you just go there and smash some pool and just jam.
This is actually as well with looking at the Beaufort, right, and looking at that sort of food. That's one thing that I actually look back on with the food at Bedford currently, because we're an American New York style bar, but we have American style food. But I always look at stuff like that and I'm it doesn't have to be super fancy food.
Yeah.
It just has to be fucking delicious.
Yeah.
So, we're working on it currently. We'll get there eventually. But I honestly look back at stuff like the Beaufort and I'm like, mate, that place was as I say, you're hacking your name into the bar, and but it's still sick. And I'm super happy to pay the right price for the right food. Right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
For sure. And they had Melbourne has so many good spots that, Lock and Key. That was just debauchery.
I've only ever it's a bit Lock and Key. I love Lock and Key to go to, but I'm never coming out of there in a good state.
Never.
Yeah,
it's never.
It's 5 a.m. and getting light again. Yeah, some amazing spots in Melbourne. There was. Did you ever go to Louis Bar?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Louis Bar was good fun.
Right up on the top floor, and you're looking out on all this Melbourne sky.
I mean, it was a little bit fancy.
Yeah.
For maybe the demographic that I normally kicked it with.
The guy that I know that used to work there is a guy called Todd, right?
Yeah.
And he used to love getting naked. So I was I had this super, I was I just know that I've seen your penis. So I don't find it that fancy anymore. I don't know why that made it less fancy for me. But yeah, so I'd go in there and be like, "Sup, bro?"
Hey, what up, William?
Yeah. But he just used to do it randomly, so it wasn't like I seeked it out. But it was, yeah. But
remember when you showed me your penis?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Because I didn't ask. It's more that he's the only person that I've ever met that has been banned from spleen.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, bro.
How do you get banned from spleen?
It's literally impossible unless you're a menace, surely.
Spleen was such a good hang. That was it would be you finish work, you go to something like Lily Black's.
Yeah, Lily Black's.
Spleen and Lock and Key.
What else? Did you ever go to New Gold Mountain?
Yeah, I was just going to say New Gold Mountain.
I was always there.
Bro, I love New Gold Mountain and Double Happy.
Double Happiness.
Yeah, bro. But the one thing talking back to now owning a business and things like this, I always kind of thought I'd own a bar. And then,
do you think you will eventually?
Well,
out of curiosity.
We did for a small portion of time.
I used to work.
I mean, you already know the standard. Amanda and I, we had a bar, and it lasted all of 3 months before we shut it down. Yeah. And so I don't ever think I'd own a bar again. Maybe, never say never. But I always thought, because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I just knew how to bartend. And so I thought natural progression, the only business that I'm ever going to own is going to be like a bar or restaurant.
Understandable that. Like.
But then I've been able to transition into this day walker lifestyle with making ice to be able to sell to bars to still be connected in.
Yeah.
But I always thought I'd open...
You still have like the IV drip to
exactly,
hospitality, right? Like,
exactly.
But you're not totally reliant upon it. Right?
Exactly. But I would always sort of like look around venues.
Yeah.
And see what I liked about them and what I didn't like and what I'd introduce into my bar. And New Gold Mountain, right next to their bar, and it's a small spot, and so everyone's standing because, you know, you get 3 people and all the fucking tables are gone.
Yeah.
The bathroom door opens in to the venue.
I love that you're like, why would you not do it the other way?
Oh, fuck, bro. It shitted me because it'd be so packed in there some days that you got like 4 dudes stacking there. You're all talking shit. Hey, cheers. And then someone comes out of the bathroom and the whole fucking crowd has got to move
over. Like,
it would drive me insane. And so
that's such a hospitality thing. No one else would notice that. Like.
But like, it had plenty of space once you got into the toilets for it to open inwards.
I can imagine you there with like the measuring tape.
I'm like with my tape.
This doesn't make any sense.
I'm like taking the hinges off, but I'm just gonna turn these around for you.
I'll just do a slide door, surely, right?
Oh yeah, fuck, exactly. So
think out of
easy.
the box. It doesn't always have to go this way or that way.
But bro, it just always opened into the crowd. And I've just moved too many times for people to come in and out of that bathroom to enjoy it.
You stop standing next to the bathroom.
Well, I mean, like, when it's packed, you
there,
get to the bar, and then all the tables already gone, so you're just like, oh, we'll stand next to the bar.
Do you know what else I used to love going with Supper Club? That was Siglo and just pretending to be fancy at like 4 a.m. in the morning on a rooftop somewhere.
We used to buy
Fake it till you make it, mate.
We used to buy shitty cigars
Yeah.
and sit out in this smoking area and like drink like a nice wine or something and smoke a horrible cigar. And like,
I don't know.
To be fair, we probably wouldn't even fucking smoke the cigar.
But do you know the difference between a good and a bad cigar?
Not at all.
Yeah,
it's
bro.
the story that someone tells you about it.
I feel like smoking cigars is more like... right, this is my thing. Sorry, I know we go off on mad tangents here, but this is my thing with like eating oysters, right, and drinking champagne.
Yeah.
I'm never drinking champagne because I had a bad day, right? I'm never eating oysters because I'm not celebrating. Like, I'm never like, I'll have like a poor cheeseburger from McDonald's. Yeah, I'm never having a poor oyster, right? Like, so it like correlates well to things. And that's something else that I associate with like positive. Yeah, champagne especially though, actually talking about that. Never having a bad day if I'm drinking champagne.
Nah, never. It was always, when I was at Eau-de-Vie, it was kind of like an unwritten ritual that anyone on their first day sabred a bottle of champagne.
This is like hazing, like, and that's it.
Yeah, but like that was the thing. First day, after work drinks, you sabre a bottle. And we all drink champagne. Yeah. And that was always super, super fucking fun.
Yeah.
And I always had like videos of like, you know, the new guy comes on, he can't saber. And you've got like 12 videos.
Imagine how shit you'd feel. Just be like...
And it was always like, I guess it was quite nerve wracking.
Yeah, especially Eau-de-Vie's like super intimidating, right?
It is very intimidating.
Obviously, like the first time you go in there. Like I've had the experience of going into a job, and I remember the first day you're like trying to be perfect, and then like 2 weeks later you're like chilling. But
I honestly like, you know, I look back at this and laugh, but I feel like I got stitched up so much at the start. I was told like, you know, there's these 12 cocktails that you have to know. You have to know them like for your first day. So I did my trial. I got the job. They're like, you got 2 weeks because I had to hand my notice at Chin to learn these cocktails. And the spreadsheet they sent me was all of the individual ingredients, you know, vodka this, passion fruit this, fucking X amount this. When I actually got there, everything was batched. And it was like 75 mil this, 10 of that, 10 of that.
So you're making like mini mental calculations of like...
Yeah, I'm like trying to work it all out, the batching procedure in my mind. And like first day, a mate of mine was in the station there. How do I do this? And he's like, 30 of that, 30 of that. Yeah. Sweet, bro. Cool. How do I make that?
How do I do this?
Every drink I made, I was like, how do I make that? And then...
it's so much easier, though, when someone's explaining it to you than you, like, reading something. So I get that. Like,
for sure. And I was always like, because I was the newer kid, you had your 3 stations, and the third station we refer to as vacation station, because you do the least amount of work there. Like whoever's on station 1, bro, dispense, reamed. They've got like 40 dockets along the line, and they're disseminating that out to who else has to make something. Vacay was always the first station to pack down at the end of the night.
That's one thing that, by the way, I miss about is like working in other cities aside from Auckland. And like, as much as I love living in New Zealand, like Auckland can be a bit slow, right?
Yeah.
So you know that bit where you've got like 40 dockets and you're like absolutely churning through drinks. Like,
yeah.
That is such a that's like one of the things that got me addicted to bartending initially, right? It's like you do this, you feel like you're in the trenches a bit, right?
Yeah.
But you go through this like kind of what you feel is like this mad experience, then you come out the other end and you're like, did it. And as I say, you don't really get that too much in Auckland, like save for the odd day, but that's like a Friday, Saturday regular. I remember working in Edinburgh, you'd like talking about being in the trenches, you'd like replace someone. There'd be someone here bartending, right? And you'd have to replace them with someone to take that person out. It wasn't like you could just take that person out and like just be one less. So you're like, the 3 deep people at bar that are just churning away. So it's one thing that I do miss about
dispense bartending was always my favorite. Like I liked interacting with guests, that was fun, but it felt too slow.
And it's like it punctuates like piece of what you're trying to do, right?
To be fair, when I felt like I had too much shit to do, I was better. Like I always perform better under pressure.
Bro, I have this, right? And this is something I realized that a little bit later in life, right? Not that I'm like super old, but like when I hit my 30s, I was like, mate, I realized that I work better with a fire under my ass. So sometimes, and I realize this. See, when I feel super complacent, I'm like, oh no, something's gonna happen because they're gonna be like, why aren't you doing your job?
I fuck shit up on a quiet day.
Bro. If I'm like, literally, bro, on a quiet day, I'm the worst. If I've got heaps of shit to do, I'm like super efficient.
It's what is it called? The Parkinson's principle. So the Parkinson's principle is like, if you have 5 jobs to do and 2 hours to do them, you get all five jobs done in 2 hours. But if you have those same 5 jobs to do, but 8 hours to do them, it takes you 8 hours to do those 5 jobs.
You're spreading it out. You go.
You're like, I might have
I've got heaps of time, like, and then you end up probably doing it in the last 2 hours
anyway. Exactly. You cram it in. Like, fuck, I got to get these emails done or whatever.
Literally, bro. So.
But I've always, because of that Parkinson's principle, I've always seen that reflect itself in my bartending career. On a slow day, I make so many mistakes. On a busy day, I am just like more productive than I've ever been in my life.
You find that as well, I believe, with like having now run quite a few venues. The busier you are, the easier it is to like control your staff.
Yeah.
Without that, when it's not busy and someone's having a yarn and you're like, you could be doing something a bit more productive than this, surely. So I didn't know about the principle, but like I
think that's where bartenders
I agree with it. Like,
and managers come up with the lines like, time to lean's time to clean.
Yeah, bro. My one's, do you want a shit job? And they're like, no. I'm like, find a good one then. Like, right? Because I will have you scrubbing the bins if you need.
Hard out. So I
had to go test me on that once. I was like, bro, I'm literally gonna find the shittest job for you. Like, I don't even have it yet, but but I'm gonna find one. She had a shit job to do. She's like,
I would like my staff at the factory. I always, when a new person comes in, I always make sure they see me doing the shittest job. So I don't have a problem asking them to do the shit job.
I find it mad. Do you know what, actually? It was one thing that when I moved back to the UK, so talking about living in Auckland, working at Mea Culpa, worked in these couple other places. When I went back to London, I worked for the Hilton. And I ran like, so there's a 5-star hotel in Westminster called the Conrad Hilton. I ran one of like the food and beverage venues in there. So that was a super cool experience. But you fucking see, bro, all these people, like, when you're saying, I wouldn't ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do. These people like strictly only ask people to do things that they 100% will not do themselves. Like, and it was such a buzzy, like, I never really got jobs worth, like, as a thing until I worked in London. And then, or like, just people are very role specific to like, you're a runner and all you do is like polish cutlery, polish plates and run food. And like once all that is done, your job is done. And
Yeah. That's where the whole not my section chef.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and like you can't do that in New Zealand, so that's not really a thing unless you're in like an enormous venue. But like as you say, like that whole not my section chef, that buzzed me out. I had some dude before be like, I don't get paid to do that. That's like you won't get paid at all because I'll finish you, bro. Like not literally, but like. But you know, you can either finish or like you can keep doing the work the way it's required, right? Yeah. Like. But yeah, it's like
I know.
Yeah, you do. Is my answer to that. Like,
exactly. You get paid to work
hard, like
do some work.
But also, like it's a bit. I find it a bit of an arrogant mindset as well. If people think that they're better than doing something.
Yeah. I think it's to have that kind of mindset. It's very career limiting.
100%.
I mean, and it's hard because maybe this comes from like, kind of always wanting to be an owner of a business.
Yeah.
That you have to be a jack of all trades type thing and willing to do everything regardless of how much you dislike doing it.
Yeah.
But like my favorite people that I've ever worked with have always been willing to do everything.
100%, yeah.
My least favorite people are the ones that are not my section chef.
Yeah.
It just drives you insane. Like even like when I was in busy restaurants, runners that are just there to do drinks.
Yeah.
And you get the ones that just like hang out.
Yeah, bro. And you're like...
And wait. And you've got like, 17 dockets up. And there's some real easy ones like beers and wines that they could just
grab
do.
And say like, this bottle of wine, do you need me to get it for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's right there. It's within arm's reach as are the glasses. Like, you may not be in the bar, but you're more than welcome.
And they're like, fucking hell, you look busy. And you're like, dickhead. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry for the profanity, but like...
Oh, you can swear, bro.
But yeah, you're just like, mate, I have no time for people like that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You just mentally went back in the queue.
All right, team, it's that time again. Sponsor advertisement time. Look, I know ads can feel like one song on repeat, but today's sponsors are the Bar Society and First Class Cocktails. If you've listened this far through the podcast, you already know that they're two companies that I personally own and operate. So hey, if you're rolling your eyes, at least roll them over to our websites and get ready to take your cocktail experience to the next level. Imagine this: First Class Cocktails premium bottled drinks paired with the Bar Society's crystal clear ice. It's a match made in cocktail heaven. Whether you're hosting a dinner party, impressing guests at a wedding, or just treating yourself to a well-deserved drink, these two brands will bring you everything you need for a flawless pour. First Class Cocktails delivers unbeatable flavor, while the Bar Society adds the perfect touch of elegance with slow-melting, pristine ice. Why settle for ordinary when you can create extraordinary? Head to firstclasscocktails.com and thebarsociety.co.nz to order today. Together, we'll elevate every sip. First Class Cocktails and the Bar Society. The perfect pairing for your perfect pour.
Like,
Yeah. The next time you ask me for a favor.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Exactly. No way. Or you ask, like, can you teach me how to do that?
It's like,
no, bro. I couldn't even teach you how to
mate,
pick
that
up
whole thing,
wine.
can you teach me how to do something, is like a struggle of a question. I'm like, mate, how much time do you have? Like, because it'll take ages to get you to the point where you think that I'm about to teach you. like, you teach me how to make a cocktail. It's like, nah, bro. It's just, I've not got the time.
I've got to teach you how to use the juicer first.
I've got to teach you how to pour a shot first. And then I've got to teach you how to do this. And then that. And then a lot of people don't realize it's like quite as much as... It's like one of my... I would not say it's a gripe at all, because like I genuinely love all customers that I serve, even the hard ones.
Yeah.
Right? But see, when the only thing that like gets me a little bit tweaky is when people are like, I used to work in a bar. And you're like... But it's like me going to an accountant and be like, I did maths at school. And it's just not the same thing, right? So you're like, but I'm doing it's so much more than that. But I do find that that's a thing that people say to me in a bar that I'm just like, it's not really the same.
Yeah. And I always find it like it's almost impossible to teach someone by them just watching you do it. You have to get them to do it. And so like when a customer asks something like that, you're like, oh yeah, come around, jump into the bar with me. Yeah. You got a knife?
Yeah. Do you can you do me like 3 twists, please? Mate, we just did a little social media video for Bedford, and they were like, he's like, here's your drink, enjoy it. Like, and they're like, he's like, enjoy your day, and they're like, your shift, and he's like, yeah, you too. And then we've got like the people joining them, like the customers coming in and like working and like pouring all the pints and stuff like that, and it's playing on that exact story. Yeah, it's good, man. It's good.
That's quite good. I haven't seen that video. The last thing I saw a photo yesterday on the Bedford page of it's like 5 versions of you,
Of me, yeah.
all wearing different things.
Do you know how many messages I got being like terrifying? I'm like, it's a dream scenario, really. The world can't handle it. But on a serious note, no, we've got Paul in doing our social media at the moment. And he's like absolutely fantastic.
He's great,
as you
isn't
know,
he?
bro. Like Paul is essentially he's like the photographer for your block ice, right? Like you supply all of these people, he takes all of the pictures. Like,
Yeah. Almost every venue that we work with that does really good photography of cocktails, Paul's doing
the photography, right?
Yeah. He does so much hair out of Panacea for the team. And like his photos are fucking good. I even saw he did Cal Ross's new like Heyman's.
You know he's going to
video.
London with him to be his videographer.
That is fucking incredible.
Maybe cut that out if that's like not in the public domain yet. But
doesn't matter. This won't come out for another couple of weeks.
Sweet, easy, yeah, cool. Then Paul's going. Congrats, Paul.
He's already there.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy London, mate.
Go to this neighbourhood.
Yeah, right. Cracker. Just stitch him up big time. Right?
Yeah, hard out. Oh fuck! Well, that reminds, it makes me query, like, what is the drinking culture in the UK like?
Everyone just drinks all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, that's
it's very like lager heavy.
Yeah,
boys.
It depends where you are, right? Because if you're in London, like, there's enough people are drinking all the bad things that people are making.
Yeah.
Which is why I find London a bit of like an outlier in that
Yeah,
respect.
it's little its own country inside a country type thing.
Well, yeah, like you can open a ridiculous themed bar and there's enough people that, like, if you got 20 seats, 20 people will come in and do it. But if you did it in like Manchester or Edinburgh, it 100% wouldn't work. Or stuff like it's like one of the biggest challenges in a place like Auckland is like having a bar that people see as like an everyday bar, or because you can't have really an experiential bar because there's just not enough people coming through.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. Too small a population.
Yeah. But sorry, remind me of the question again. Sorry, because I just.
So like, what's the drinking culture like over there?
So everyone goes to the pub every day, basically.
Yeah, okay.
You finish work, you go to the pub. There seems to, in London, not be drinking laws outside of, like, on the streets. Okay. So every pub you go into is kind of dead, but everyone's drinking outside of the pub. So yeah,
So you can get a pint inside and just cruise out onto the street.
Cruise out onto the street. It's stuff you can't do here, right? So it's like way more social. The weather's not as good, so I think it's like a community living room, man. It's weird describing drinking in the UK because people here will drink during the weekends, or like maybe one day if they're being a bit naughty. Like people in the UK will go to the pub Monday to Friday and have like one or two pints. Not necessarily dinner, but you'll have like 1 or 2 pints with the mates whilst or you'll catch up about something, or it just is like a way more of a cultural thing, I think.
Okay.
But I think that's also based on like proximity of people to other people, whereas here you're a lot further out. Especially Auckland itself is like the only real like big city, right? If you live anywhere else in New Zealand, it's not.
Your neighbours are a while away.
Yeah, mate. Oh, yeah. Your neighbour might be like 10 miles up the road, sort of thing. Like, and I find that the culture of people in the UK it's in a bad way as well because everyone smoked. Like when I went back, one thing that I initially noticed getting off the plane, I was like, fucking hell, everyone is smoking.
Okay.
Like no one smokes here, bro. Like people vape. People do smoke, but like barely anyone. It's kind of the same vibe of drinking, right?
Yeah.
Where like everyone drinks.
Yeah.
Like, and whereas here, maybe like 30-40% of people.
Bro, I know,
it's even Australia is like the middle ground of that, I find. Where
there's heaps of smokers in Australia. Heaps. Like, you go to Lily Black's, you'll have 100 people inside, and then you have 75 people outside
just
smoking.
Durries,
Like, it's a big smoking culture, but then you also have a much bigger population and things like that. And not to say that population has anything to do with how much you smoke, but I know New Zealand has that, smoke-free by 2025 or whatever, like, fucking good luck.
Not anymore, right? That said, though, I do think as a country, and this is like another reason that I like separately outside of career-wise enjoy living in New Zealand is like they're a lot more progressive, or like not necessarily progressive, but like people are way more conscious of things, right? Like you don't have to like wrap everything in plastic. You don't have to like do that. You don't have to smoke all the durries all the time. Like or like it's I'm not. I know everyone vapes, right? But it's a much more positive. I think it's a much more like positive atmosphere towards people. I don't know necessarily the right words to use, but towards people than in the UK where everyone's just like, oh, we're already fucked anyway, sort of thing. Like, which is kind of the vibe you get, right? Like here they're a bit more like, someone gets shot, like, what happened years ago, they bang guns. And it's like, it just seems like they're doing the right thing a lot more, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So, even the smoke-free thing. I don't know, the UK actually tried to follow that. I'm pretty sure we're in the UK are now further ahead than New Zealand are on that. But it's a good thing to do. And then you see, once a country like the UK sees New Zealand doing that, they think, well, that's like
let's follow suit.
Let's follow suit. And that's like eventually where pretty much everyone will go, right? But yeah, I think New Zealand is a great country for that. Like they're really, really positive in like the way that they try and do things, I think.
Yeah. I've got younger, like, 18 to 20 age group.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of them coming through bars here drinking? Like,
No,
I'm
not
somewhat
really.
removed now, but I was talking to some dude that sort of fits into that age bracket
Yeah.
only a couple of days ago back in Hamilton. And he told me that he's like never been drunk.
Like, yeah. That's not
Never
fun,
been
bro.
drunk. He's like, I've had a drink and I've felt like a buzz, but I've never like been drunk or blacked out. I just don't really drink that much. And I was
So mad
talking,
at it, like.
I was talking to my partner Amanda about it, and I was like, it's crazy, the motherfucker. Like, he never drinks, he'd never been drunk. And she made the comment, like, young people don't drink.
Yeah.
And I was really curious, like, do you see that play out in the bar?
We do get young people in, but it's 100% a cultural shift. There's not a lot of young people go out and get super weight, but they take heaps of drugs nowadays. So,
Yeah.
So I think it's like
they've all got a dealer on dial.
literally, bro. Like, so he's like, you're like, have you ever been drunk? He's like, no. It's like, you have a K-old. He's like, every weekend. Like, you know what I mean? So like the for me, and I'm sure for you, bro, it was a rite of passage, right? Like
Hard out. Like, I said to him, I was like, fuck, man, like, I feel out of place. Like,
I couldn't drink enough when I was 18,
yeah.
bro. Like,
There's probably more nights that I've blacked out than I didn't.
I remember. Yeah.
I've had some nights where I got home at God knows what time and I slept in my front garden because I couldn't figure out how to get the key in the door.
Imagine getting so close but so far.
Yeah, like I remember in Melbourne, like my flatmate came home and she like woke me up in the front garden. Like, Connor, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm good.
like, sure you're good. Like,
You were asleep behind a flax bush.
in it, bro. Yeah. You don't seem to be doing great. Like,
Weren't you wearing those clothes 3 days ago?
I've had that before where I've been in like not a good situation necessarily, and I've been like, mate, this is the life. And then I look back at like my viewpoint at that point in time, and I was like, that was not the life. Like, but, yeah, do you know what I mean? Like down some like piss covered alley, like, and you're with your mate, and you're like chomping your fucking jaw off.
yeah. Fucking jaw swinging like a gymnast.
Yeah. You're like, mate, how good is life? And then
We should open a bar.
Yeah. And you think back and you're like, oh, bro, what was I even doing?
Yeah, back in the fuck. Yeah, I have a lot of those moments in my memory where like I thought we were the coolest people in the world.
Yeah.
And if I saw me now, I'd be like,
If I saw that
what
guy,
a
I'd be like,
loser.
that guy's a waste man. Like, like 100%. Like,
I remember like being at the bar, drinking, going home, going to like, this is in Melbourne, like going to Coles, getting a cheap bottle of red wine, and then like hitchhiking the last kilometre to home.
Like, can't be fucked to walk in.
Yeah, and I remember there was this lady, she was so lovely. She picked me up, she had her 2 kids in the car. And I was like, I'm really sorry, I'm just down the road.
Yeah.
And she was like, look, I don't mind giving you a ride.
Yeah.
Just promise me you're not going to do anything stupid. I was like, I promise.
Did you do anything?
No, I didn't. I was like, I work at this bar. You should come down.
Shameless self-plug. Yeah.
Exactly. But like, yeah, I didn't do anything too drastic. It was good because she was like living on the next street.
Yeah, bro.
And she dropped me and just helped me out. And I think I saw her like 2 or 3 times after that. I just gave her away. Like,
shot, bro.
Thank you. But yeah, like I think back now, I was like, I wouldn't have picked me up. No fucking way would I.
Especially
have
with kids
picked
in the
me
car,
up.
mate.
I know.
She probably didn't realise until you got in, eh?
Yeah. I look charming.
Yeah,
Because
she's like, oh, that's a drunk look.
yeah. I had my, still my college shirt on and fucking probably waistcoat coming from work or something.
Mate,
like that.
she would have thought she'd be like, this guy is like the perfect guy to pick up. Then you get in, you're like, sup, bro?
You like fucking
cocktails?
only one eye's open.
Yeah, just like, I can see better this way.
So I keep my balance better.
Crack up. Yeah, so, yeah. I've not, I don't think I've been that bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever hitchhiked, though.
No?
No.
I've never hitchhiked more than like that 1 kilometre at home. But I kind of knew I wasn't going to make it home if I had to walk.
Yeah.
And the tram, like, had already gone. I wasn't going to fuck around and wait.
Yeah.
So there's 15 minutes to the next tram.
Oh, this lovely lady here.
Yeah. Oh, is that a G-Wagon? Put the thumb out. Fucking it. Hook a brother up. But yeah, so the younger people just aren't drinking as much. They, but more gear.
Yeah, but as I say, I think it's just, I don't know if it's like a COVID thing.
I kind of thought that because it was kind of, when we turned 18, the first thing you did is like went out to a bar.
When I turned 18, I've been drinking for like 2-3 years before that anyway, right? Because, COVID, like no one was allowed near anyone.
Yeah.
So
you're not allowed.
I don't know if it's like part of that, and then maybe in a couple of years, like the more socialized versions of the younger kids. Because it was, for me, always going out was like a social thing, right? Like at uni, regardless of how I might get super drunk, but it was like more like you meet heaps of people, a social thing. I think just kids nowadays are like maybe don't need that social.
Yeah, maybe they got too many friends on Facebook.
Or like everything's online, or they're just not used to being social because of all the restrictions that may have been in place over the past couple of years. I could not have imagined having been in my like formative years and having to go through like the lockdowns and stuff like that, bro. Yeah. For me, it was like a nice break from work, but honestly, I had a great time. But
to me, I felt like I had, I talked with Loretta about this.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of felt like I lost my whole identity. I was Connor, the bartender that liked to party. And when COVID happened, my job and my partying got taken away from me. And I was just like a shell of a human. Like, I don't know who I am now.
A party without a place, eh? Like, I get what you're saying though. But no, mate, I was, cause I just met my missus at this point. So we were like chilling. But as I say, I was hanging out. We could go on nice walks. Like, I had a great time drinking.
I think, I definitely.
I would chat to my folks back home and they'd be like, COVID's so rough. I'd be like, hey, I just went to the beach.
Sorry about it.
Yeah. Sounds so bad.
Yeah, I think I just went head first and play PlayStation. Yeah, I might do an online course.
I did heaps of that as well, though.
Yeah.
Playing PlayStation. Yeah, that was great. Like,
We had a little setup in the back. Like, we had like 2 living rooms at our house that we're living in. And we had like a setup out the back with like some leather recliners and a couch and like 2 TVs and 2 PlayStations.
You definitely leveled up the setup. Like, first COVID payment, you're like straight to Dick Smith's. Like, it's true though.
100%. Yeah. We loaded up on shit.
I remember I lived with. Do you know Bill Scott?
No.
Right, Bill. Shout out to Bill because he's a legend. But yeah, we played a lot of Call of Duty.
Yeah, because Warzone had just come out.
Yeah, bro, but I was allowed to do it, and I didn't have to go to work, so I could literally just do it like as a job for 8 hours a day. It was great.
I did enjoy doing fuck all at home and getting paid
to do
every week
for the pleasure, right?
Yeah. It was quite good because I got away with that for probably like
I could marry into
7
money.
or 8
Is what I
months.
realized after COVID.
You could marry into money.
100%. Yeah, and quite comfortably sponge. Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be like the quality time rather than having to go out and earn money. And,
Yeah, the craziest thing is, like, even though I couldn't go anywhere, I still spent everything I had. Like, when it came time for me to move back here, I was still broke.
Especially when you, like, actually, you could have had a house deposit. By
Yeah,
that point, right?
exactly.
But I get that, though, especially when you've literally got nothing else to do. Like, and you're getting free money,
Yeah.
basically. Obviously, like, we say free money, but now we have a fucked economy. So, like, it wasn't that free. But, but yeah. But at the time, it seemed like it was.
Yeah, I went through a stage of going and getting, like, old pallets and then recycling them. Like, I built a doghouse.
Just like upcycling them.
And I built, like, a workbench.
So it was probably good for you then.
It was quite good.
If your like identity was just partying and being the bartender, you have to make your own identity, I guess.
Oh, dude, like a massive change around in my life. Like, a lot of
it was really good for some people as well.
introspective sort of thinking.
Yeah.
A lot of thinking about, like, all right, these things that have happened in my life that I've fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm 100% responsible for fucking them up by doing this dumb shit.
Yeah.
And so it did give me a chance to say, like, I kind of, when I speak to my partner now, I became the version of me that is probably more the real version of me.
Yeah.
Because I think I played a character of me for so long.
Yeah.
That, like, having kind of everything stripped away from you a little bit, I was a lot more introspective and a lot of realizing all the things that went wrong in my life. Like, I was the reason that it went wrong. And it gave me a bit of a harsh reality.
Instead of being like, why always me, right? Like,
yeah, fucking woe's me, like, the world's against me. Can't I catch a break?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes you meet people like that. Not that I'm giving you shit for that.
No, bring it.
No. But sometimes you meet people like that, and you're like, yeah, but if you, I've met quite a few people.
Yeah.
In that same vein, and yeah, you're like, you do realize that, as you say, most of these things are your
your fault
doing. Yeah, I had a friend who got, like, banned from driving once, and they were complaining about it to me, and I was like, oh, what happened? And they were like, I was super wasted, and then I was driving. I was like, bros, I was like, this is 100% your fault. Like, I totally understand why you're banned from driving. She really didn't take my advice very good, but she's like, I just wanted to, like, complain about this and not, but. I was like, bro, like, you can't do that, right? So, yeah. So, sometimes when you actually take a moment to reflect, you're like, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dickhead.
Yeah, and I honestly find that, like, a lot of the times when I'm, have people that work for me, and I will find myself giving people advice that I received. And at the time, I was like, I don't believe in the advice or what you're saying. But when I look back, I'm like, I totally see where this guy came from.
Yeah.
Or like for example, my first 4 or 5 years of bartending, I was a complete reprobate. So see, if anyone's a reprobate, I'm like, bro, I know what you're doing. Like, I did this. Like, I wrote the rule book. Not necessarily that, but like I've made 100%.
Every mistake you're going to make in the next 4 years, I've done it.
I've already done it. Yeah. I still sometimes do, like, but I just don't tell you. Like, but
yeah, I've just learned how to cover it up better.
Yeah, right. I'm just way, as you say, way better at the cover up. But like a lot of, and that's what I find quite funny sometimes, is that, like, a lot of the, someone giving you an excuse for something, or, I'm late because of this stupid reason, or da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I'm like,
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, traffic fucking exists every day, bro.
Which, just so you know, I was late today. So, like, that was actually traffic, though. Like, as I say, I was around the corner for 10 minutes, bro. Just saying, still around the corner. But yeah, you become out. And then I actually find, like, the more I manage people, the more you, like, forgive the 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
And if it's a big problem and it's like a recurring thing, then yeah, you identify it, you deal with it. But if someone's 10 minutes, if you're always 10 minutes late, yeah, just leave 10 minutes early. But if you're 10 minutes late one day, like, I'm not going to rinse you out for it. I've worked for a lot of people that will be like, this is your first strike. And you're like, do you need to rock the boat this much? No. So yeah.
Yeah, when I was in Melbourne, I had a dude that worked for this, and he was like, 10 minutes late every single day. And he was like, the reason I'm 10 minutes late is because my tram leaves at this time. And I was like, cool, what time does the tram before that leave? And he goes, I can't do that.
I'm not even prepared to like...
That means I have to get out of bed 10 minutes earlier.
You're like, yeah, bro.
Yeah,
like, clearly.
no
like,
shit. Fucking.
Yeah, man, I had this person as well who'd like turn up and they'd just be like, always a reason. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, as long as you're here, bro. Like, yeah. I try initially, like, we have a bit of a punctuality problem with chefs sometimes. And I tried to like come down on that recently. And I realized that it's just not worth
the headache.
Yeah, bro. Just like, as long as when we open, we can cook food. And everything is set up properly. Like, you're just going to put a fire under your own ass for like 20 minutes rather than giving yourself the full prerequisite amount of time to like do the thing, right?
Yeah, so, hard out. And like, I even find like, you know, I was late every now and again. That like, when I have stuff that are late every now and again, I'm like, just let it slide. Yeah. But then you get some people that are late every now and again quite regularly.
Yeah, and then you're like...
And you're like, now we've got to do something about it. And I don't want to have to do something
100%,
about it.
Yeah. But you can... But I find as well, like, you know, communication's like a massive thing, right? Like, big thing I've learned working in bars throughout all my years now is like 100% just communication. As long as you communicate well with people... generally, you can like work out most of the things.
Yeah, for sure. I've always believed that, you know...
I'm prone to my occasional outburst, by the way. Like, yeah.
My, throw your head off. Fuck.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, "You're bald." I'm like, but I was just annoyed. But yeah. Like, there's occasionally, but generally, I'm trying to keep it zen, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. That's
yeah, man. It's like, well, you'll probably know as like, because we deal with each other in business, right? We have a good working relationship.
Yeah,
it's like good to have good working relationships with people. Something I value massively. It's something that has served me really well in New Zealand. Yeah, like since I've been here, is like as long as you're always nice to people, people will always be nice to you.
Bro, you're 50% better off.
Yeah,
if you're likable. Like if you're likable and easy to work with.
Yeah,
50% more people are willing to talk to you or work with you. Like they're more willing to listen. Like my stuff that are late every now and again, I'm just like, look, bro.
Yeah, just don't be late.
We've been through this before. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah,
to make sure that this doesn't happen.
I also,
and they might say, "Can we change my start time?" Yeah. I'm like,
sweet,
totally,
yeah,
totally.
I also sometimes as well understand that, like, because you know you'll be like, I'm late, but I'm busy. I do try and make sure that I'm like not going to be hypocritical in those circumstances, right? Yeah. Whereas if I'm going to turn up, if I do something that's like, then I can't really.
Yeah. I think that's why I make sure I do the shittiest jobs when new people start, so they can see, well, he's willing to do the toilets anyway.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, not often though. Yeah, just your first day, mate. Like, yeah.
Everyone's first day.
Tactically, like, and just make sure they got like scrubbed to fuck the day before.
I got the other dude to clean the bathroom before your first day, where I'm going to clean the bathroom.
It's all tactics, mate. So
you've got to be crafty. It's all about
100%, man.
It's all about optics.
You make sure the dude did the prep the day before. Then you come in, you're like, the bar is always this prepped, yeah. So if you're working here, like, you have to make sure that you are always this prepped also. Like,
see this 20 liters.
Smoke and mirrors, I think.
Right? Like, smoke and mirrors. There's the one, bro. All right, I don't know what time we're at, but it should be finishing up soon. So, have you got any other breadcrumb mojito moments other than your putting ice in your Cosmos?
Yeah, right. I didn't even think. Any like humbling moments in bars?
Yes.
I mean, I probably have one every week. Hey? Like, but no. So, ice in the Cosmo was definitely an eye opener. In fact, probably my real eye-opening moment of, so like having worked in bars for years and like I'm quite an amicable person, so I can get on with people really well. There was a lot of times where I'd be serving pints, serving gin and tonics, blah blah blah, and because I could chat to people, I could do my job quite well. And then there was like the first time that I actually properly learned how to make cocktails, and this was at Tiger Lily, right?
Yeah.
I had this round of drinks, there was 3 drinks, and it took me like 20 minutes to make it. And the dude was like, how the fuck did this take this long? And it was like the one thing that made me realize that I really needed to like start actually respecting the job that I was doing. And if I'm going to do it as my job, which I didn't know I was going to be doing this like all these years later, but if I'm going to be doing something, anything is my job. And like this is something I drill into like my little brother, so on and so forth, is if you're going to do something, like you have to try and make sure that you learn it. But I hadn't, experience is the best way of learning this, right? So I hadn't done that, and 20 minutes later, I've got some dude who I quite looked up to, working in the bar that I was working in, and be like, bro, like you're shit, basically. And yeah, that was for me a super humbling moment, because I realized that I needed to pull my shit together and make sure that I was like at least the second worst person. do you know what I mean? And then I worked my way up from there. But
you don't need to be the best, just don't be the worst.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I think it is the crack, right? Like
yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
so sorry, I don't really have anything to.
No, that's all good. I mean, that's
humbling,
kind of like I can definitely relate to that experience. My thing was always like, whenever I walk into a new bar, I look for who's better than me.
Yeah.
And then I just copy what they do.
Yeah, bro. Oh, mate. Actually, so sorry. Yeah, not to drag it on too long, but I have the same experience with that, right? If I ever work somewhere, you find the best person, you always aspire to be like at least as good as that person. But I remember I worked with someone in Seamstress. This is why Seamstress for me was like, I worked with like 3 or 4. Actually, 4 different bartenders that were like unbelievable and have gone on to do their own amazing things. But one of them in particular was a girl called, her name's Priscilla Kinazaki, right? I think she won Best Bartender in Australia a couple of years ago. She's super good. Was the one that had worked with the raffles. But I've never ever worked with anyone with an attention to detail like this person. Like she would put like mint leaves in terms of like size. And it was obviously massively over the top. But watching someone who like, pays that much attention to something was so crucial to me in terms of like, because every time after that, whenever I worked anywhere, I'd be like, if I pay at least this much attention, even if it's like 90 or 80% of like what she would do, which was like, as I say, over the top. But if I could do this, then like, then I'll do really well in the bars that I work in. And so having to work with someone like that and having to, aspire to be like, but bro, we'd have like an amazing shift and she'd be like, do you remember when you took like 30 seconds too long to make this martini? You're like, bro, like, give the guy a break. Basically, and we got on really well eventually because of those experiences. But it was like working with people like that, super invaluable to me. Like, I have to say.
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome,
Good way to finish it.
Wicked.
Awesome. Thank you, bro.
Not at all. Sorry for waffling if I was.
No, bro. This has been great. It's all about fucking having fun and
many tangents.
I'm a shit interviewer.
No,
and so
I might be a shit interviewee, bro.
Well, because I think I'm a shit interviewer, I just like to have a conversation. And I always believe like if you got like a 1 hour, 2 hour conversation, just talking nothing, there's at least 2 minutes of gold in there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And all I'm chasing is that 2 minutes.
Is that 2 minutes of gold, right? Yeah. Wicked. Oh, mate, we'll definitely be able to have that. I think, quite a few. Actually, what's the time? Thinking about it.
But yeah, I've got no idea. See you later, everyone. Let's get out of here.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode of the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok at the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast and look out for next week's episode.